Full Metal Storm, Battle of the Machines. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 470, A Narrow Defeat. Seeing that he was about to fly out, Jiuying quickly thrust the dragon elephant into the ring, and he immediately stopped, then swung back onto the ring. But before he could adjust his posture, Li Jun rushed over again. Jiuying slashed at him with a sword, but he dodged it with a strange body movement like a slippery fish, and then punched Jiuying. Jiuying was prepared this time, and when he missed, he immediately used the footwork, dragonfly skimming the water to dodge, allowing Li Jun's punch to miss. At this time, Li Jun's fist again raised a puff of sweat, and then there was a violent explosion. In the audience stand, many people stood up and stretched their necks to look at the ring. What's going on? It exploded again. What kind of skill is this? Did you notice that Li Jun's movements are very smooth, like the tail of a loach? Hey, don't block me in front. Don't let people watch the game. On one side of the ring, inside Jiuying College, Yang Ziqi clenched his fists and whispered, "Senior Li, come on, don't lose." Wei Feng, with a bandage on his forehead, smiled. "Don't worry, Li Jun is very strong, and classmate Luo is at the end of his rope. He won't lose." Zhang Ziao sighed, "I wish I had Li Jun's talent. I'm too stupid, and I'm holding everyone back." Behind them, Fu Yan, who was sitting on a chair, sneered, "Talent? Ziao, you are insulting Senior Li Jun. Senior Li Jun didn't get to where he is today by talent. He walked step by step, relying on perseverance and sweat. Senior Li Jun's divine possession is a super system. It is not a strong ability in itself. It is Senior Li Jun who worked hard to develop his divine possession ability, selected the right skills, and trained hard to achieve today's achievements. That is not something that can be summed up with the word talent." On the ring, Jiuying cut into Li Jun's side in an instant with the dragonfly skimming the water, and the dragon elephant pulled out a black light band with a terrifying whistle and slashed towards Li Jun's ribs. He realized from the previous battle that Li Jun's reaction was not that fast, so now, he cut into Li Jun's visual blind spot. Even if Li Jun moved at the sound, he could not avoid this sword. Jiuying's estimation was correct. Li Jun reacted half a beat slower. When he looked back, the dragon elephant was already close to his skin. Jiuying decisively pulled the heavy sword. At this time, Li Jun shouted loudly, and his yuan power rose. The dragon elephant hit his yuan power, just like hitting a ball of oily things. The heavy sword suddenly slipped, and Jiuying's strength could no longer be concentrated, and the dragon elephant slid to the side. What's going on? When Jiuying's pupils were slightly dilated, Li Jun had already taken the opportunity to slide away, and raised his arm to sweep with a punch. Jiuying leaned back to avoid Li Jun's punch, but he couldn't avoid the sweat that was splashed under his punch. The sweat suddenly burst out, and a raging flame rushed towards Jiuying. Dragon scales appeared behind Jiuying, and the dragon elephant protected him in front of him. He felt his whole body shaken violently, and he retreated several steps. Li Jun turned around and slid after the dislocation and crashed out of the dissipated flames. His hand slightly accumulated power, and then he swung out countless punches like a machine gun. Suddenly, Li Jun was like the 1,000-armed Guanyin and the 100-armed Arhat, with thousands of fist shadows almost without intervals on Jiuying's body and sword. Every time the fist hit the target, Li Jun would cause an explosion, so Jiuying's body shook continuously, and his feet were shaken off the ground by the extremely dense explosion. Student Luo is in trouble. Look, he has been suppressed by Li Jun, and can't run away. No, it's more troublesome than that. Student Luo's feet are off the ground now. Li Jun is so strong, his punching speed is fast, and every punch will cause an explosion. Student Luo's feet were blown off the ground. Here it comes. Li Jun is going to use a big move. There was a cry of surprise from the audience. On the ring, after Jiuying was blown into the air, Li Jun's body slid back a little, and the whole person shrank into a ball, and then his body swelled like a spring, and his right fist blasted upwards like a cannonball. In the air, Liu Yang had reached his limit, but he still roared, exerted his remaining strength, and raised the dragon elephant high. Then, a sword triggered a lightning bolt, and chopped down at Li Jun's fist. Fighting technique, thunder. Suddenly, everyone on both sides of the ring, on the spectator stand, and in the entire stadium, had their hearts in their throats. When the fist and the heavy sword collided, there was no muffled sound as everyone expected. Liu Yan's sword suddenly slipped on the front of the fist, deflected its direction, and chopped towards Li Jun's shoulder. Li Jun's fist hardly stopped, and hit Liu Yan's lower abdomen. Liu Yan's face changed. Then, a violent shock, and surging flames appeared at the same time. Liu Yan was uncontrollably hit by Li Jun's punch, and flew far out of the ring, and fell to the grass. Li Jun's shoulder also sprayed a cloud of blood mist. Even though he had deflected and dispersed the power of Liu Yan's sword, he still had a wound. Plop. Liu Yan fell to the ground and rolled twice. The dragon elephant slipped out of his hand and he lay on the grass in a big litter. At this time, he heard the referee blow the whistle. Beijing College, Liu Yan, off the court. Winner, Jiuying College, Li Jun. Hearing the result, Liu Yan was stunned for a moment, then looked at the sky simulated by the holographic dome above his head and laughed. This was the most enjoyable and exciting game he had played since he participated in the big sports meeting. Although he did not knock Li Jun down, for Liu Yan, today's experience was very valuable. At this time, the medical team ran over, put Liu Yan on a stretcher, and then sent him to the medical room for examination. After a series of examinations, it was determined that Liu Yan was only exhausted physically and had few injuries on his body, so the doctor let him out. Liu Yan first drank a bottle of energy drink, rested for a while, and came to the hall after recovering some physical strength. When he walked out, the game was over. After he left the field, Beijing College sent Bei, but Li Jun took a lot of effort to throw Bei off the ring despite the strange attack. Once Bei lost, none of the remaining students would be Li Jun's opponent. When Liu Yan came out, she just heard the referee's announcement. The game is over. The winner of today's game is Jiuying College. Applause broke out on the stadium, and the audience shouted loudly, "Li Jun, you did a great job. Don't be discouraged, Beijing College, you are very strong. Everyone should cheer up. Keep going." At this time, the students of Beijing College came over. Xiaoping saw Liu Yan, touched the back of his head and said, "I'm so sorry, classmate Liu. You created such a good situation for us, and we were just one step away, but we were still defeated by senior Li Jun." Bei lowered his head and said, "If I were more careful and the speed of the weird switching was faster, maybe I could defeat senior Li." Liu Yan reached out and touched her head and said, "It doesn't matter, we can still win back in the actual battle in the forbidden area." Xiaoping clapped his hands and said, "Classmate Liu is right, and although we lost, we made it into the top 3. Let's go back to the hotel quickly and ask teacher Wei what the reward is for making it into the top 3. Chapter 471. Diligence can make up for one's shortcomings. In the hotel. "Thank you for your hard work." Wen Fenghua smiled and said, "You did a great job. You made it into the top 3 in the competition. Even the principal didn't expect this." Liu Ruohan raised her hand and said, "Teacher, have you ever thought that we would make it into the top 3? The students immediately laughed. Wen Fenghua glanced at Liu Yan, and then said, "Of course, I even imagined the glory of you winning the championship." Xiaoping sighed and said, "The gap between us and the famous schools is too big. In fact, there is a certain gap between us and colleges like Yushu and Linchun. If it weren't for Liu Yan and Xiao Bei, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to make it into the top 3. Wen Fenghua coughed twice and said, "It's good to be able to see the gap between yourself and your opponents, but there's no need to belittle yourself. After you go back, practice well, and you will be as strong as them." Yang Lixi jumped out and said, "Teacher, you haven't answered Liu's question just now." He winked at Liu Ruohan, who was speechless. Wen Fenghua laughed and said, "Well, we have to let the principal announce it after we get back. But I think you will get some good things. After all, you are able to make it into the top 3. If you get good results in the actual combat in the forbidden area, I think you may be able to empty the principal's piggy bank when you go back." Hearing what the teacher said, the students became enthusiastic. At this time, Li Boheng sighed. I just checked. Senior Li Jun's Shenzang, the super system oil pipe, is actually not a particularly strong ability. This Shenzang ability allows Senior Li Jun to secrete sweat containing a large amount of oily substances. The original function is to make himself slippery and difficult to catch during battle, and it also has a certain force relieving effect. But obviously, Senior Li Jun's use of Shenzang did not stay on the surface, but he dug deep into his own abilities. The advanced technique he practiced is also the Yan Yang Sutra. Li Boheng looked at Luo Yan. Senior Li used the high temperature effect of the Yan Yang Sutra and the oily substances in his sweat to make his attacks produce explosive effects. In addition, he took off his shoes when fighting. I think it should be to make the soles of his feet covered with oily sweat, thereby reducing the friction with the ground and making various flexible movements. When Xing Feng nodded, Boheng's analysis is correct. I also want to tell you that, as long as you find the right method, there is no useless Shenzang. The two systems of supersensory and superphysical Shenzang are at a disadvantage compared to the others. But as long as you continue to dig deeper into your own Shenzang ability like Li Jun, and then through a lot of practice, with the right skills and secrets, you can shorten the gap with other Shenzang, or even surpass other Shenzang. After you go back, you should summarize your experience, and then devote yourself to the next semester's practice and study. Immediately, the students responded yes. The next day, Luo Yan and others came to the stadium. Today is the championship game of the college competition. Jiuying and Jiuying will compete for the championship of the competition. Naturally, the heat of today's game is far greater than before. When Luo Yan and others got off the school bus, they looked around and saw a crowd of people, and countless spectators were pouring into the stadium. They were about to go to the special stand when they heard someone shouting, "Student Luo, Student Luo Yan." Two middle-aged men ran over, wiped their sweat, and smiled. "Student Luo Yan, we are the directors of Yeshu College. Student Luo Yan, your performance in the sports meet was very outstanding. I wonder if you plan to transfer to another college. If you are willing to transfer to our Yeshu College, we will give you the first-class resident treatment. In addition, the resources of skills and medicines are also at the same level as those of Jiuying College. Yes, 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 our college has 2 dragon riders. When the time comes, you will naturally be indispensable." As soon as they finished speaking, someone shouted, "Whatever conditions Yeshu College can offer, Lingchuan College will also provide. Student Luo Yan, are you interested in transferring to another college?" Seeing that teachers from several colleges and universities were coming over with great interest, Luo Yan hurriedly lowered his head and followed his classmates into the venue. By the time he reached the special stand, Luo Yan had already been nicknamed Xiang Momo. Just as they found a place to sit down, suddenly, an alarm sounded outside the stadium. Then the broadcast of Jinch City sounded. It has been detected that the Yambu space is taking shape above the 3rd warning zone, and the giant beast is about to be released. The alarms kept ringing, and Luo Yan and other students from Guangling City stood up suddenly, wondering whether they had to take emergency shelter. Then they heard Zhao Chen from the nearby Yeshu College smiled and said, "Students, don't worry. The 3rd warning zone is far away from us, and we can't fight here. Just watch the game with peace of mind." Luo Yan and others were startled and looked down. The audience and other stands were not panicking. It seemed that for them, things like this were already commonplace. Finally, they sat down with peace of mind and saw the teams from Jiuying and Jiuying colleges walking out of different passages on the field. On the Jiuying college side, they were all familiar faces from yesterday, but today, they were all injured to varying degrees. Only Fu Yan was intact. Although Li Jun had a string of 6 yesterday, Luo Yan cut his shoulder with a sword, and other parts were also injured by Bei's weirdness, which seemed to have no effect on the battle. But Luo Yan knew that when masters compete, even the slightest injury would affect their performance. Xing Feng. Xing Feng. Xing Feng. Suddenly, a scream broke out from the nearby stands, causing Luo Yan to turn his head and look. In the stands over there, a large group of girls rushed to the railing, holding up various cheering sticks and posters, and shouted the name Taifeng in unison. They had the momentum of star chasing girls before a natural disaster. Zhao Chen immediately said sourly, Qin Feng is so popular. Next to him, Yang Kui, who was tall and strong with his hands folded on his chest, snorted and said, being handsome can't be eaten. The Behemoth doesn't care whether he is handsome or ugly. A girl next to him whispered, this is the last stubbornness of classmate Yang. After that, the girl also stood up and waved her hands and shouted, Qin Feng, look over here. Yang Kui and Zhao Chen's faces suddenly became gloomy. At this time, the referee raised his hands, motioning for everyone to be quiet, and then continued. Today is the final of the competition. To Jiuying College who came all the way here, and to other students who participated in the competition, but missed the championship. On behalf of the organizing committee, I want to say thank you for your hard work. Then, please invite the captains of Xiaonan College and Jiuying College to the stage to decide the format of today's championship match between the two colleges. Immediately, people shouted excitedly, let's play a team match so that we can see the style of a famous school. It doesn't matter what form of competition it is. What's important is to let Yangzaki play. I want to see her play. Amid cheers and applause, 6 captains from Xiaonan and Jiuying colleges came to the stage. On the Xiaonan College side, a sophomore came out and smiled. We suggest playing a captain's decision match, and only one game, to decide the winner of our 2 colleges. Jiuying students, what do you think? Chapter 472 Championship. Use a captain's contest to decide the winner? Good fellow, should we say that Xiaonan College is full of confidence, or do they not take Jiuying seriously? Anyway, the team is fully capable, the players are in good condition, and they dare to play the captain's contest when they have enough advantages. Xiaonan College is quite confident in itself. In the stadium, the audience in the stands began to discuss. At this time, Li Jun came out and said in a deep voice, since everyone in Xiaonan is willing to let us take advantage, then we should obey your order. Li Jun did not refuse such a good thing for the sake of face. He has always been a pragmatic person. Now Jiuying College's condition has dropped sharply, even he is in much worse condition than yesterday. At present, the only one with intact combat power and the best condition is Fu Yan, the first year student who was slacking off yesterday. On the Xiaonan College side, the captain nodded, and the matter was decided. Then the people from Xiaonan College walked back, and only the first year student Qin Feng remained on the stage. Li Jun was stunned. Are you going to let Qin Feng play? No wonder Li Jun was surprised, and the other audiences were even more confused. Although Tai Feng is a superstar of Xiaonan College, is Xiaonan College crazy to let a freshman take the lead? Could it be that Xiaonan College saw that there was only one Fu Yan in good condition in Jiuying, so they let Qin Feng play with the purpose of playing against Fu Yan? If that's the case, Xiaonan College is quite graceful. Even if it's a captain competition, it won't take advantage of the opponent. I think there is a deeper meaning. That is, the people of Xiaonan think that, even if it's not Fu Yan who plays, Qin Feng can handle it. The captain of Xiaonan College turned around and smiled as he walked off the stage, saying, yes, we will give this game to Qin Feng, the junior brother, to decide who will win the championship. Immediately, someone from Jiuying College stepped forward and said, Senior Li Jun, let me go. Li Jun looked back and saw that it was Fu Yan. Today, his eyes were full of fighting spirit, which was completely different from yesterday. Li Jun looked at the others, and Yang Zaki and others nodded slightly. Li Jun said, okay, Fu Yan, I'll leave it to you. Then he led the other captains down without saying much. When Yang Zaki passed by Fu Yan, he said in a deep voice, if you keep slacking off, be careful that we will skin you alive when you return. Fu Yan laughed and said in a voice that he could hear, how could it be? I have been waiting for this day for a long time. Since both parties had already made a decision, the referee announced it straightforwardly. College competition, championship match, Xiaonan College vs. Jiuying College. The game begins. As soon as the voice fell, Fu Yang burst out his Yuan force, manifested an illusory flame, and rushed towards his opponent first. The proactive energy was completely different from the one he was yesterday. Fu Yang used a long sword, while Qin Feng used a long spear. When the opponent attacked, he did not neglect it, and also burst out his UN force, and tiny arcs of electricity jumped in the nearby space. Those arcs condensed a human-shaped virtual image around Xing Feng, but it should be because of his shallow cultivation that the virtual image only looked like an ape, with bat wings on its back, and an axe in both hands. But the specific facial features and details could not be seen. At this time, Fu Yan had already rushed to Xing Feng's figure. With a clang, the long sword flew into the air and chopped towards Xing Feng with amazing momentum. Xing Feng did not retreat. He shook his wrist and thrust the long spear in his hand. Bang! Fu Yan's sword chopped on the tip of Xing Feng's spear. The illusory flame collided with the agile arc, colliding with the flashing electric sparks. The long sword slid, and Fu Yan dragged the long sword along the opponent's spear body and slashed towards Xing Fu's chin. Xing Feng drew his spear to avoid. Fu Yan shouted immediately, and the long sword bounced up and chopped down again with an indomitable momentum. This time, Xing Feng tilted his head, letting the long sword pass in front of him, and at the same time, the long spear was tilted upward, turning into a flash of electricity, pointing to Fu Yan's throat. Fu Yan smiled, bent his left arm and raised it, holding up the opponent's long spear, letting the spearhead pass the side of his face, bringing up a few drops of blood. Xing Feng reached out and slapped the long sword, shaking it away, then put away his gun and retreated, pulling away and reorganizing the formation. Fu Yan did not pursue him either, but wiped his face with his hand, looked at the blood on his fingers, and laughed. The two of them just fought faster than lightning, with guns and swords flying, and neither of them gave in. Although it was a ring competition, it had a tragic taste of fighting on the battlefield, and the audience held their breath. Until now, people let out a long sigh, and then applause rang out. Wonderful, too wonderful. This is what a championship game should be like. Classmate Xing Feng, classmate Fu Yan, you all have to work hard. In particular, Luo Yan's eyes showed a trace of regret in the stands. Bei looked at him and whispered, there will be a chance in the future. She knew that Luo Yan was regretting that he didn't catch Fu Yan yesterday to compete. It can be seen that this freshman is very skilled. Yesterday he was the first to go on stage, but Luo Yan only made a move and the opponent withdrew from the game. Otherwise, Luo Yan could have had a good fight with Fu Yan in the first match yesterday. At this time, on the ring, Fu Yan casually put his knife on his shoulder. Hey, Qin. Warm-up is over here, what do you think? Xing Feng smiled and replied, it should be so. Fu Yan raised the corner of his mouth, pointed his long knife, and shouted, scorching purgatory, open. Boom. Red illusory fire pillars rose from all directions and spread all over the ring in an instant. Even the audience in the stands could feel the amazing heat waves coming from the ring. The ground on the ring has turned into a scorched earth, which looks like a corner of the scorching purgatory appeared in the world. In the drifting sparks, Fu Yan's hair burned with illusory flames, and his long knife and his body were all floating with wisps of red flames. At this moment, he was domineering and powerful, just like an evil ghost walking out of the scorching hell. At this time, Luo Yan heard a voice. Secret method, scorching purgatory. Together with Yan Mo Wujian and Zhu Fu Tu, they are collectively called the three evil methods. Luo Yan looked back, and Xianji smiled and nodded gently. Go on, these three secret methods are all full of evil spirits and boundless fierceness. When they are cultivated to perfection, they are known as purgatory appears in the world, slaughtering all living beings. Unlike Luo's Zhu Fu Tu, Fu Yan's scorching purgatory has its own high temperature characteristics, which complements his skills and magic treasures. Now that scorching purgatory is open, Xing Feng's brilliant thunder spirit palace should also be here, right? As soon as the voice fell, there was a sudden roar on the ring. Then the electric snakes danced wildly, and just above Xing Feng's head, an illusory thick cloud quietly emerged, and a large amount of lightning roared down from the clouds. In an instant, the ring was full of iron trees and silver flowers, lightning flashed, and the wind whistled. Xing Feng, who was in it, was like the god of thunder coming to the world. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, Fierce Battle. On one side of the arena, in Jiuying Academy, Yang Ziki snorted and said, "That guy finally used his secret method. I thought he was going to slack off again. Damn it, if this guy had fought well yesterday, he wouldn't have let the battle-hardened Luo Yan lose 5 games in a row, and also injured Senior Li Jun. Then it's Senior Li Jun who will be on the stage today." Li Jun smiled and said, "Fu Yan is very talented. When I was in the 1st grade, I was far worse than him. And the opponent is Xing Feng. Even if I'm in good shape, I may not be his opponent." He looked at the arena. The lightning was gathering towards Qin Hao, forming a lightning ribbon on each shoulder of Qin Fu. Qin Feng's brilliant thunder palace of the spirit capital is a more advanced secret method than the three evils method. When it is cultivated to the extreme, it can form the phantom of the spirit palace, where the gods of thunder and lightning live, and a thunder wheel will be formed behind it, which can induce celestial phenomena, and reach the state of unity between heaven and man. Even if Fu Yang cultivates the scorching purgatory to the extreme, he cannot reach that state. But now, Qin Feng's secret method is still far from the perfect stage, and Fu Yan may not lose to him. On the ring, Fu Yan, who was full of momentum, rushed towards his opponent without saying a word. But this time, Qin Feng rushed to attack first. His figure flashed, with flashes of lightning, and he rushed to Fu Yan in an instant. The speed was completely different from the previous concept. At this moment, the long spear in Qin Feng's hand slashed towards Fu Yan's eyes, and the spearhead burst into lightning, and the roar in the air was endless. This shot, with the momentum of exploding in all directions, made Fu Yan dare not ignore it. Fu Yan shouted loudly, and his whole body exploded with flames. He stopped his forward rush, and in the blink of an eye, he took a small step back, creating a little buffer space in the impossible. Then the long sword swept, bringing up a blazing flame, and collided with Qin Feng's gun. Boom. With a bang, both of them were shocked, but Fu Yan, who acted hastily, still suffered a loss, and felt that his internal organs were rolling. Even so, he still did not retreat but advanced, and pushed the opponent's spear aside when he held it, and then rushed forward, hitting Qin Feng's chest with his shoulder. Fu Yang burst out with another ball of flames, which vaguely turned into a hideous ghost face, and let out a silent roar. Qin Feng smiled, dragged his gun and retreated violently. After opening the secret method, his speed increased greatly, and he advanced and retreated as fast as lightning. He retreated 10 meters in a flash, leaving Fu Yan empty. Just when Fu Yan hit the air and his posture was slightly unbalanced, Qin Feng flashed over again, his spear bursting with lightning, and he attacked his opponent one shot after another. In the special stance, Luo Yan narrowed his eyes slightly. Qin Feng's Huang Leiling Dugong currently shows 3 effects: speed, power, and accompanying lightning attack. With the blessing of lightning, Qin Feng's speed increased greatly, 3 points faster than Luo Yan's Feng Lion secret method, and this secret method also has power. Many times, whether it is a secret method or a move, the faster the speed, the smaller the power, and the more powerful the speed. Just like Zhang Xianai is Fuzan, the speed of the knife is fast, but the power is just so-so. But Qin Feng's secret method has both speed and power. When the two complement each other, it is not as simple as 1 + 1. What's more, every time he attacks, he will trigger lightning, which makes Qin Feng fight even more powerful. In a blink of an eye, on the ring, Fu Yan and Qin Feng have fought hundreds of times. After using their respective secret methods, the two men's fighting power increased greatly, and every time they attacked, it was earth-shattering. On the ring, swords and guns intertwined, lightning and flames intertwined, and the two sides fought back and forth. Weapons collided, and forces collided. The entire ring was quickly torn into pieces. The colliding lightning and fire streams splashed towards the stands from time to time. Some of them fell after 100 meters away, and some of them continued to attack the audience in the stands, causing people to exclaim from time to time. However, the organizing committee had made preparations in advance, and there were masters in the stands around to protect the audience. At this time, a series of empty walls rose up, blocking the lightning and fire streams, causing the audience to be alarmed. After another full-strength bombardment, on the ring, Qin Feng and Fu Yan retreated at the same time. The former's hair and clothes had traces of burns, and the latter's clothes had multiple gaps. Then Fu Yan spat out a small mouthful of blood. He wiped it and licked his lips. Come again. Immediately, as if a volcano erupted inside his body, a loud rumbling sound came from Fu Yan's body, and the flames on his body suddenly burst out, illuminating Fu Yan like the reincarnation of the god of fire. He waved his long sword, pulling the raging fire, turning it into a flaming sky sword, and slashed at Xing Feng from a distance. Xing Feng moved sideways gracefully, then stopped and turned around, turning his long spear upside down, and threw it hard at his opponent. The spear came out like a dragon. The long spear immediately involved countless lightning, condensing into a lightning dragon with bared fangs and claws, and pounced on Fu Yan fiercely. Fu Yan roared, and the flames burst out. The long sword swept across, sweeping out streams of fire, and those streams of fire hit the thunder dragon one after another, and finally gathered into a river of fire, crashing into the thunder dragon. Boom. The ring was shattered, lightning flashed, and flames danced wildly. Fu Yan's long sword slipped out of his hand, and he flew out, and when he fell again, he stepped on the grass. Someone in the stands immediately shouted, "Out of the ring, Fu Yan has fallen out of the ring." Don't shout, Xing Feng is the same. It turned out that the ring was shattered, and Xing Feng also fell on the grass. At this time, both of them had no weapons in their hands, but they shouted at the same time, and rushed towards each other. Fu Yan's hands were burning with two balls of red fire, and Xing Feng's hands were catching lightning. Both sides were ready for close combat. Outside the ring, the referee looked at the judges. He didn't know how to rule at this time. After a discussion, the judges made a gesture of the game continues. The referee nodded, and took the whistle from his mouth again. Xing Feng and Fu Yan had already met at the original position of the ring. Fu Yan hit Xing Feng's face with a fire fist. The latter raised his arm to block, and with his other hand, he caught a large bolt of lightning, and slapped it towards Fu Yan's chest. The two sides went back and forth, punching and kicking. Although they had no weapons in their hands, they fought extremely brilliantly. At this time, Xing Feng kicked with a flash of lightning. Fu Yan did not avoid or give way, but kicked with his foot at the same time. The heel of his foot even sprayed a flame, which accelerated him, and kicked his opponent first. When the two kicked each other, lightning and fire clashed, and there was a violent explosion. The shock wave of lightning and fire spread in all directions. It was such a fierce fight. Both of them fought very handsomely. I didn't expect Xing Feng, who was so gentle, to be as fierce as others. Did you notice that they didn't defend, but attacked each other? Crazy. Both of them are crazy. In the stands, the audience exclaimed, especially the audience in the front row. Every time the empty wall was hit, they were worried that the mysterious wall would burst. After all, the two fighting figures in the middle of the stadium were fighting too fiercely. Chapter 474, Retaining the Championship. Come on, Xing Feng. Don't lose, Fu Yan. So exciting. So thrilling. At this moment, the audience was infected by the selfless battle between Xing Feng and Fu Yan, and they cheered for their supporters. In the venue, lightning and thunder roared, and flames rolled. The two figures of Xing Feng and Fu Yan were almost entangled together, and their attacks were no longer limited to fists and feet. Shoulders, knees, elbows and even other parts of the body became sharp weapons to attack the enemy. The collision between the two sides caused continuous explosions of destruction in the field. The aftermath of each collision between the two tested the strength of the empty walls in front of the stands. When the two fought the most fiercely, it was difficult for people to distinguish their figures. The figures of Xing Feng and Fu Yan were almost intertwined. Thunder, flames, explosions, strong winds, gravel, dust, and smoke, all things were mixed together, turning the space they were in into a forbidden area, making it difficult for outsiders to intervene. After a terrifying roar, all the invisible barriers in the venue were shattered at the same time. The impact of the explosion of the empty wall made the stands seem to be blown by hurricanes. The audience hugged their heads and bowed their heads, and those who had cultivation skills quickly took action to resolve the crisis for those around them. After the hurricane disappeared, people dared to stick their heads out and look at the battlefield below. There was thick smoke, flashing lightning, and flying sparks. Xing Feng and Fu Yan were both panting, and suddenly burst out their yuanli at the same time, crashing into their opponents again. This time, Fu Yan was surrounded by flames, and as he punched out, the flames turned into a ghost. With a green face and fangs, a single horn on his forehead, and wearing armor, he roared and crashed into Xing Feng. Xing Feng pushed with both palms, and as he pushed, the thunder around him roared, and condensed into a thunder dragon between his palms. When the fists and palms of both sides crossed, the flaming ghost and the thunder dragon also entangled together. The ghost punched the dragon, and the dragon opened its mouth and bit the ghost's neck. Then the wind on the battlefield was raging, and a tornado formed by lightning, and fire rose into the sky. The majestic energy breath roared and spread, causing the ground to burst and crack like a spider web. When the wind died down, the lightning and flames disappeared. People saw that Fu Yan punched his opponent in the face, and Xing Feng slapped the opponent's chest with both palms. Then one of them kept retreating, and the other flew out. Fu Yan retreated several steps in succession. Suddenly his eyes rolled up, and then he fell to the ground. Although Xing Feng flew out, he climbed up, after landing on the ground, but his body kept shaking, as if he would lie down at any time. At this time, the referee came over, checked Fu Yan's condition, and then blew the whistle. Jiuying College, Fu Yan fainted. The winner is Xianan College, Xing Feng. The stadium was quiet for a while, and then everyone started to speak, happily raised their hands, and clapped vigorously. It was so exciting. You all fought so well. Xing Feng is so handsome. I love you so much. Well done to Fu Yan. At this time, Fu Yan, who had fainted on the ground, suddenly opened his eyes, jumped up again with a somersault, and was about to pounce on Xing Feng. A hand lifted him up. Fu Yan turned around and saw that it was Li Jun, and couldn't help shouting, "What are you doing? I haven't finished fighting yet." Li Jun smiled. "I'm done. You kid lost consciousness for at least 2 seconds just now. You lose." Fu Yan was stunned for a moment, then shouted, "What? I fainted. I lost consciousness for a full 2 seconds?" Fu Yan then shouted, "Referee, let him rest for 2 seconds, and then we will fight again." Bang! Li Jun hit the junior on the head and picked him up, saying to Xing Feng, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to embarrass you." Then he walked back with Fu Yan. "Senior Li Jun, put me down. Li Jun, put me down quickly, or I will get angry. Brotherly, I beg you, so many people are watching, do you want me to die?" Facing Fu Yan's pleading, Li Jun was unmoved and walked back to Jiuying College. The referee then announced, "As of today, the college competition is over. The champion is still Xianan College. Tonight, please move to Yishu College. The college has prepared a dinner for everyone. Please be sure to attend. The organizing committee will announce the rewards for the top 3 in the competition at that time." The game is over. The audience left. Walking in the corridor, Luo Yan heard people discussing the details of the previous game. Xing Feng and Fu Yan are indeed the superstars of their respective colleges. The two just fought hard. This is because the conference rules cannot use unique skills. Otherwise, the scene will definitely be more than just this. After watching the previous game, Luo Yan realized how serious Fu Yan was and slacking off yesterday. Now he understood Yang Kui a little, because after watching the game, he wanted to challenge Fu Yan privately to play the game that he didn't play yesterday. Just after walking out of the gate, and before getting on the school bus, he heard the news. All the third-year students of Basin Academy were sent back and taken directly to the hospital. Hearing this news, Luo Yan immediately went to the hospital with others. When they arrived at the hospital, they were stopped by the doctor. After waiting for a while, they saw Hiheo and Jiuying coming out of the examination room. Seeing that they were still alive, Luo Yan was relieved, and then he found that Hiheo was wrapped in bandages, one arm was in a cast, and the other arm had to be supported by a crutch, and he was still limping. "Senior Hiheo, Senior Jiuying, are you okay?" Liu Ruohan saw that Hiheo looked miserable, and even Jiuying had scars on his face, and couldn't help asking with concern. Hiheo raised his head and saw that it was Luo Yan and the others. He laughed immediately. "What can happen? I can run and sleep, nothing to worry about." Xiaoping's mouth twitched, thinking that you are not very convincing like this, and then asked, "Senior Hiheo, the desperate battlefield is very dangerous. You are so seriously injured." Hiheo's eyes drifted to the top of his head. "Yeah, it's just like that. Anyway, I enjoy it very much. Also, don't think I seem to be seriously injured, but I'm actually fine. Nothing at all. Sujiyu glanced at him, then stretched out a finger and gently pressed Hiheo's waist and ribs. Ah! Hiheo screamed. When he saw everyone in the corridor looking at him, he gritted his teeth and said, I'm fine, just a little itchy. These things are too boring. Luo Yan looked at the tears hanging in the corners of this guy's eyes and was embarrassed to expose him. However, seeing someone he knew coming back from the desperate battlefield, Luo Yan was still happy from the bottom of his heart. At this time, he heard footsteps and looked back. It was Li Jun and others. They rushed into a ward, and soon, suppressed crying came from the ward. It seemed that someone from Jiuying College died on the battlefield of desperate situation. Hearing the crying, Hiheo's eyes were heavy, and he said seriously, the battlefield of desperate situation is very dangerous. If you have to go to the battlefield one day, you must be careful. P.S. It has reached 1 million words. The book was published after the National Day last year. It has been almost 5 months until today, and the word count has finally exceeded 1 million, which is a small milestone. Along the way, thank you for your support, which has made this book much better than Under the Black Mist. I hope it can thrive. I will gradually present the magnificent story in my heart to everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 475, Yishu Dinner. In the hotel. Student Luo Yan, your school uniform. As soon as he returned to his room, Luo Yan received the school uniform sent by the college staff. He was a little surprised. After all, he had not worn a school uniform for a year. Seeing his surprise, the staff smiled. We will attend the dinner held by Yishu College in the evening. Students from all colleges will wear school uniforms. There is no rule to wear school uniforms at ordinary times, but for such a major event, we still have to reflect the team spirit of the college. Luo Yan nodded, thanked him and walked into the room with 2 suitcases. After closing the door, he took a shower first, and then opened the suitcase containing the school uniforms, and put on the school uniforms one by one. What surprised Luo Yan was that the school uniforms of Basin College were military style, with a large lapel double-breasted black long coat, gold piping and buttons of the same color, and a shield-shaped brooch with a double sword pattern. In addition, it is also matched with black trousers, white shirts, and black ties. He opened another suitcase, which contained some accessories, a black military cap, a belt and military boots of the same color, and a pair of white gloves. After putting these on, Luo Yan looked in the mirror and could hardly recognize himself. The school uniform fit him very well, and it can be seen that it was safely customized according to his body size. The black military style school uniform made Luo Yan look sharper, like a sharp sword. The red eyes under the military cap seemed to be burning with blazing flames, and the lines of the young face became more and more cold, which complemented the military style school uniform on his body. Picking up the dragon elephant, Luo Yan was like a soldier ready to go, and a murderous aura arose spontaneously. At this time, there was a knock on the door, and Bei called out from outside, Student Luo, are you okay? Everyone is about to set off. Luo Yan responded, hurried over and opened the door. Outside, Bei pulled the hat on his head, and was making the final adjustments. The girls' uniforms were also military style, but the pants were replaced with short skirts, and they were wearing black socks above the knees and short boots of the same color, which made Bei look serious, but a little playful. Bei, who was wearing a black eye mask under her military cap, had jade-like skin, and a faint red cloud appeared because of Luo Yan's gaze. She pulled down her military cap, put her 2 small hands behind her back, and whispered, does it look weird for me to wear this? No, it looks good. Luo Yan said concisely. Bei raised her head, blinked, and then said happily, really? Then I feel relieved. At this time, Xiaoping and others came and saw Luo Yan holding the dragon elephant. Xiaoping said with a headache, put down the sword. We are going to a banquet, not to fight. Luo Yan looked at them. The students were all wearing school uniforms. Their young faces were full of vigor and vitality, and their straight and knife-like standing postures exuded a faint sense of majesty. Nodding, Luo Yan put the dragon elephant back in the house, and left the hotel with everyone else, and took the school bus to Yishu College. A moment later, the school bus entered the college. Yeshu College has an elegant environment. There is a main road running through the entire campus, with a large number of green plants, statues, and pavilions. There is even a retired mech placed at the entrance of the gate as a symbol of the college. The dinner was held in the auditorium, so the school bus stopped at the fountain square in front of the auditorium. The dome of the underground city has projected the night scene, and the college is naturally brightly lit, even the fountain square. Luo Yan and others got off the school bus, and saw school buses from other colleges entering the square one after another. Students from one college after another continued to pour out of the school bus. These future young mecha masters, wearing distinctive school uniforms, opened Luo Yan's eyes. Lingchuan College may be located in Fengxin, the underground city. As a city that has experienced hardships and wars, the school uniforms of Lingchuan College have a strong atmosphere of war. On the basis of fabrics, they added a lot of metal element. For example, the shoulders and chests have obvious metal armor, making Zhang Xianai and others look like soldiers going to the battlefield. The school uniforms of Jiuying College are full of ancient style. Everyone wears a long robe with wide sleeves. Of course, some changes and modifications have been made for the convenience of movement. For example, the robe is not long enough to drag on the ground, but even so, it is okay for others to wear it, but Li Jun looks awkward. The school uniforms of Angshan College and Jiuying College, that came later, also have their own characteristics. As the host, Yeshu College's school uniforms are also military style, but their clothes are mainly white, and the coats are not double-breasted long coats, but short coats, which make Zhao Chen, Yang Kui and others look capable and sharp. When Luo Yan walked into the auditorium, countless hot eyes looked over in an instant. That's Luo from Beijing College. Wow, he looks so domineering in his military style uniform. Black clothes and red eyes. No, I'm in love with him. Girls from various colleges were fascinated by Luo Yan, who looked like a military officer. Some bold girls even waved their arms vigorously and shouted, Luo Yan, look here. Luo Yan is very popular. Li Boheng sighed slightly. In fact, his image is not bad. He looks like a staff officer in a military uniform and glasses. But Luo Yan's performance in the competition and his current image are too dazzling, so that the girls basically ignore other men in Beijing College. Zhao Ping laughed and said, how can he not be popular? This guy almost defeated Jiuying College by himself. It would be strange if he is not popular. Yang Li looked at the goddess Liu Ruohan worriedly. Seeing that she did not look at Luo Yan intoxicatedly like other girls, he breathed a sigh of relief. They puffed up her cheeks and glared at the girls who were taller and had bigger breasts than her, like a kitten protecting its food. I really want Lan Zhao to throw them all out. At this time, Bei smelled a faint fragrance and her eyes blurred. Someone was walking over. It was a tall woman wearing a dark black dress with aqua blue patterns. Bei remembered that this was the school uniform of Angshan College. Looking at the woman again, her smile was as beautiful as a flower, her eyebrows were as beautiful as a painting, and her phoenix eyes were particularly charming. She walked in front of Luo Yan and stretched out her hand. Student Luo, good evening. I'm Han Na from Angshan College. I heard from our juniors that you almost broke through Jiuying alone at the conference. It's really surprising. Immediately, there was a lot of discussion in the auditorium. It's Hannah. She's the school beauty of Angshan College. I heard that her Han family is a noble family in the underground city. Are they here to recruit Luo Yan? There are rumors that the Han family wants to find a son-in-law for Hannah. Could it be that the Han family has chosen Luo Yan? Don't talk, just eat melons. Luo Yan looked at Hannah's outstretched hand and remembered that Wei Fenghua said that he should be as polite as possible when attending a dinner party, so he shook Hannah's hand. He said frankly, if Jiuying Fuyan had tried his best from the beginning, I guess I wouldn't have met Senior Li Jun. Chapter 476, A Broad Stage. Not far away in the group of people in Jiuying, Fuyan's ears twitched, and he looked back and said, what do you mean, Mr. Luo? You mean that, even if I go all out, he can still fight, but he may not be able to see Senior Li Jun, right? You look down on me. I'll go and settle the score with him. Bang. Li Jun raised his hand and knocked on Fu Yan's head. Don't embarrass me. You are a lazy guy and you still have the nerve to settle the score with others. Fu Yan covered his head and said, Senior Li Jun, I'm not retreating to advance. The purpose is to help us play a game with Xing Feng in a good state in the finals. Yang Ziki kicked him calmly. You can make a reason for slacking off, right? You played today, but I didn't see you win. Fu Yan covered his foot again and said, okay, Kiki, you are right about your long legs. All my mistakes are my fault, okay? It was your fault in the first place, and you still have the nerve to feel wronged. Yang Ziki thought about it, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he got, and he kicked Fu Yan several more times. On the other side, the charming and generous Hana laughed like a silver bell, and said with her eyes curved, I also heard that Fu Yan was slacking off. That little rascal has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Then she said, although I really hope that Luo Yan can transfer to our Raingshan school. I heard that many colleges have rejected him. I'm shy, so I won't talk about this. Have fun tonight. If you come to Kingmu one day, be sure to find me. I will be your guide. After saying that, she glanced at Bei next to her. Student Bei should also come. I have seen your game. You played very well. Come on, you all. After winking at Bei, Hana walked away. As soon as she moved, many people chased after her and rushed to talk to her. Among these people, most were men, and there were also one or two girls who seemed to be overwhelmed by Hana's temperament. Bei was in a complicated mood now. When she saw Hana took the initiative to reach out to Luo Yan to get closer to her, the girl looked alert. It can be seen that Hana invited her to Kingmu City to play together. She was confused again. It was hard to tell what this older sister-like woman was thinking. She's very strong. Luo Yan's voice rang out. Bei looked at him and heard Luo Yan's deep voice. She also went to the desperate battlefield, but you see, Hiheo and Su Jiu came back with injuries, and some people from Jiuying College even died on the battlefield. But this woman surnamed Han doesn't have any injuries at all, which shows that she is very strong. That's great. Question marks popped up on Bei's head. Luo Yan smiled. It's great that there are so many powerful people in this world. One day, I will catch up with them, and then surpass them. So that's how it is. Bei covered his chest and thought to himself that I really worried for nothing. I thought Luo liked strong girls. It turns out that Luo just regarded Hana as an object to chase. Well, that's great. At this time, a voice rang out. Classmates from different colleges, everyone, good evening. The auditorium suddenly became quiet, and everyone, including Luo Yan, looked towards the stage in front. At this time, the lights in the auditorium dimmed, and only a beam of light fell on the stage, on a middle-aged man. He held the microphone, and smiled and said, I'm Song Mushing, the vice president of Yishu College. On behalf of Yishu College in Jinj City, I welcome you. Applause rang out immediately. After a moment, Song Mushing continued, in the past 2 weeks, I have seen wonderful games, and I have seen my classmates sweating and fighting hard in the venue. I'm very happy and excited, because seeing you is like seeing the future of mankind. 4 years have passed since the natural disaster, and in the future, no one knows whether there will be the same or even greater disasters. And we are still a long way from the goal of expelling the behemoth and taking back our home. I don't know how many of us can see that moment with our own eyes, but I believe that there are students here, and you will stand up to fight for mankind. This moment will come one day. After another round of applause, Song Mushing raised his hand and smiled. Everyone performed well in the competition of this sports meeting, especially Luo Yan and Bei from Beijing College, Zhang Xianyi and Xianji from Lingchuan College, Fu Yan and Li Jun from Jiuying College. It can be said that your performances are all remarkable. However, I hope everyone will not be complacent. Only the 18 cities in the northern border participated in this sports meeting. In the south, there are other colleges and universities, and even the Xiangang Dragon Riders, which you call the pinnacle of mecha divisions, are only the pinnacle of our land. Classmates, this world is very vast. In other lands, there are also mecha groups similar to the Xiangang Dragon Riders. Wings of Freedom, the Ninth Agency, the Holy Crusades, the Spartan Iron Blood Army, the Cherno Fortress, the White Elephant Group, the Demigods and Semi-Devils, etc. Therefore, today's big sports meeting is just an inconspicuous step for you to step onto the world stage. Don't think that you are already on the stage. You are still quite far away from that magnificent stage. You must guard against arrogance and impatience, work hard to cultivate, and keep moving forward. Then one day, you will stand on that stage and show your elegance to the world. The auditorium was silent. Not to mention Liu Yan, even senior students Liu Ruohan, Xiaoping and others were surprised. It seemed that they just found out that in addition to the Xiangang Dragon Riders, there are other top mecha groups in the world. Wings of Freedom, the Ninth Agency, the Holy Crusaders, the Spartan Iron Blood Army, the Cherno Fortress, the White Elephant Group, and the Demigods and Semi-Devils. Liu Yan gently repeated the names of these top groups, and it seemed as if there was a flame burning in his chest, which made him clench his fists. Vice President Song's words ignited his fighting spirit, and made him want to keep moving forward, and go to the broader world stage. Others were as excited as Liu Yan, and their young faces and eyes were burning with passion. They also wanted to move forward to the broader stage. After everyone calmed down, Song Mushing smiled and said, "Then, I will announce the rewards for the top 3 in the competition. The prizes are provided by the Giant Beast Strategy House, and they are: the 3rd place in the competition, Basin Academy, will be awarded a piece of divine weapon level equipment. The 2nd place, Jiuying Academy, will be awarded a piece of divine weapon level equipment and 2 sets of secret techniques. The champion, Xianan Academy, will be awarded 2 pieces of divine weapon level equipment and a set of Tangsu and realm skills." Chapter 477 Pre-War Meeting. Divine weapon level equipment. It's divine weapon level equipment. Xiaoping and others in Basin Academy said excitedly. Not bad, although there is only 1 piece, and it is for human use. But having a divine weapon level equipment will greatly improve anyone. But there is only 1. Who should I give it to? Liu Yan took the initiative to say, "No need to give it to me. I have the dragon elephant, which is enough." Liu Ruohan reminded him, "Student Liu, divine weapon level equipment is not limited to weapons, but also includes protective gear or other auxiliary items. Although you have the dragon elephant, if you equip other equipment, such as protective gear or auxiliary items, your personal combat power will be further amplified." Liu Yan still shook his head. "It is not my credit to be able to enter the top 3, but if the divine weapon level equipment has protective gear or auxiliary items, I suggest that it be allocated to Xiaobei. If she can strengthen her defense, or have other auxiliary items to save her life, and then cooperate with her Yugi, Xiaobei's combat power will be directly improved to a higher level." Bei hurriedly said, "My strange abilities are comprehensive. Whether it is defense or auxiliary, it is actually not very useful to me. Give it to other students." Yang Lixi said with a smile, "Don't push each other. In this competition, at least in the competition, Liu Yan and Bei have made the greatest contributions. Others are too embarrassed to take it. So, if Liu doesn't want it, give it to Bei. Of course, we still have to listen to Director Wen's opinion after we go back." The others nodded. Because this award is not given directly to individual students, but to the college. So who will get the award in the end? It is up to the college to decide. Yang Lixi stepped back at this time and said to Liu Ruohan with a smile, "Student Liu, if you like any magic weapon equipment, you might as well tell me. I will find a way to get it for you." Liu Ruohan said, "No need. If I want it, I will fight for it myself." Yang Lixi immediately made a bitter face. In the auditorium, the most discussed topic among the students was the prize of Xianan College. The 2 magic weapons were secondary. This time, the prize actually included the Tangsu and Realm Gangfa. You should know that the highest level of Gangfa in most colleges is the advanced realm. The Tangsu and Realm and the techniques above it are basically in the hands of the Giant Beast Strategic House. Only by making contributions in the core of their respective underground cities can they exchange higher level techniques from the Strategic House. Unexpectedly, this time, the Strategic House actually rewarded Xianan College with a set of Tangsu and Realm techniques. This seems to send a signal. In the future, the strategic house may gradually relax the regulations and allow each college to control the Tangsa and realm techniques. This may be to cope with the increasingly severe situation. But no matter what, at least today, the top 3 colleges have gained a lot. For the students, this is just a reward given by the strategic house. After returning, there will be rewards within the college. Therefore, when Song Mushing announced the start of the banquet, the auditorium became lively. After the dinner, the students will rest in the underground city for 3 days, and then go to the Forbidden Land on the ground to participate in the next 2-week Forbidden Land actual combat. The next morning, after breakfast, Luo Yan received a notice and came to a conference room specially prepared for them in the hotel with other students. Today Wei Fenghe will explain to everyone the key points and difficulties to pay attention to when fighting in the Forbidden Land. When he arrived, he saw Hiheo in a plaster cast. It seemed that the third-year students were also here to listen. Hiheo's injury would not improve for 10 days or half a month, but Su Jiuying's third-year students were able to eat and dance now. When all the students were present, Wei Fenghe walked to the front of the stage with a cup. There were a few red wolf berries floating in the cup. He took a sip to moisten his throat. Fang said, "There will be no restrictions on you in the next Forbidden Land combat. Because the opponent is a giant beast, every student can take out his best skills. Unique skills, secret methods, combat skills, any trump card can be used." Luo Yan narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this. In this way, he can finally give full play to his strength, instead of having to put many trump cards aside like in a competition, and can only use some combat skills and secret methods. Wei Fenghe continued, in addition, the competition adopts a points system, with the college as the unit. But because the competition area can accommodate a limited number of mechs, each college can only send one mecha team. A mecha team consists of 5 mechs. When a team member's mecha is damaged, other mechs can be replaced. Therefore, it is impossible for all students to play in the Forbidden Area actual combat. Here I announce the list of players and alternate pilots. The players who will play are Luo Yan, Bei, Lin Wei, Liu Ruohan and Xiaoping. The alternate players are Zai Yun, Zionan, Zhao Feng, Zheng Shan, Li Zi, Shen Yu, and Lin Cheng. Boheng, I didn't put you on the list of players or alternates this time. I hope to form a staff group with you as the center to provide information support and battle analysis for the team. Li Boheng nodded, not angry because he couldn't play. In fact, this played to his strengths. Wei Fenghe paused and smiled. After the actual combat in the Forbidden Area begins, my suggestion is to let classmate Luo Yan hunt alone. Luo Yan, at that time, you should kill as many of those low and medium level behemoths as possible. By doing this, first, we can gain a lot of points for our college in the early stage. Second, there are a limited number of behemoths in the Forbidden Area. If one dies, it will be one less. The more we kill, the fewer points other colleges can get. But, I bet that there will definitely be a character similar to you in the third college of Xianan. So at that time, there should be conflicts. You must be mentally prepared. Luo Yan nodded. Teacher, what's the bottom line? Stop at a certain point. Of course, if the other party goes too far, you can fight back indefinitely, and the college will be responsible for anything. Wei Fenghe smiled again. However, this should not happen. By that time, the entire competition process will be broadcast live, and the entire competition area will be under the camera. Unless no one wants their own future, no one will cross the line. Wei Fenghe took 2 sips of water and said, Luo Yan will go hunting, and the others will form teams to attack. You should try to pick mid-level behemoths. The students looked at him inquiringly. Wei Fenghe smiled and said, in this competition, low-level behemoths are worth 3 points, mid-level behemoths are worth 8 points, and higher-level behemoths are worth 20 points. The time limit is 2 weeks, and the ranking will be determined by the points in the end. I believe that it should not be difficult for the 4 of you to cooperate with each other to hunt mid-level behemoths now, and you can even try to hunt higher-level behemoths. But high-level behemoths are usually more dangerous and cunning, and there are only a limited number of high-level behemoths in ordinary forbidden areas, so they are hard to come by. Therefore, mid-level behemoths have the highest cost effectiveness. Chapter 478, Valley of Sorrow. In the conference room, Wen Fenghe put down the cup and said, "Next, let's talk about the information of the Forbidden Area. The location of this actual combat is the Forbidden Area number 11, Valley of Sorrow." Wen Fenghe said seriously, "Don't be careless. I know that some of you have participated in many Forbidden Area battles, but the Forbidden Area number 11, Valley of Sorrow is strange and dangerous. When you enter the Forbidden Area, you must always pay attention to the prompts of the computer. The Valley of Sorrow is divided into 3 areas: Safe Area, Dangerous Area and Core Area. This time the Forbidden Area actual combat is no longer limited to the Safe Area. You can enter the Dangerous Area, but you must not enter the Core Area. Even in the Dangerous Area, you must be extremely careful." Seeing Wen Fenghe was so serious, Luo Yang couldn't help but be curious about what kind of existence this Forbidden Area number 11 is. Wen Fenghe then made some information appear on the big screen. Codename, AOE level, Overlord level 4. Type, Caterpillar. Features, Hades, Soul Control, Corpse Control, Sadness, Psychic. Weakness unknown. In the conference room, there was a sound of inhalation. Just looking at the information of this giant beast, people felt strange and gloomy. Wen Fenghe said, "AOI, there is a record in the classic of mountains and seas. 20 miles to the west, there is a mountain called Sanwei, where 3 green birds live. This mountain is 100 miles wide. There is a beast on it. It looks like an ox, with 4 white horns and hair like a straw raincoat. Its name is AOI, and it eats people." Although the Overlord beast is slightly different from the one recorded in the classic of mountains and seas, in general, the image is very similar. AOI looks like a white head with 4 horns on his head. The hair on his body is coarse and hard, and it looks like he is wearing a straw raincoat. The caterpillar-like giant beasts are very strong, and AOI, as a Overlord beast, is even more so. And because of AOI's characteristics, the Valley of Sorrow has a special and strange ecology. Wen Fenghe added some hot water to the cup, covered it, and continued. "First, after entering the Forbidden Area, you will hear crying from time to time. These sounds will affect your mood, make you depressed, and gradually feel sad. If you have serious mental illness, you may even feel desperate and even commit suicide. However, when you are in the safe zone, crying rarely occurs, and even if it occurs, it will not last long, so there is basically no need to worry in the safe zone. What you need to pay attention to is the dangerous zone. Once you enter the dangerous zone, crying will often occur, and the time it occurs will also last for a long time, usually about 1 to 3 hours. But this is relatively easy to deal with. You just need to wear earplugs or something to reduce or eliminate the impact of crying on you. At that time, the staff group will stay in the safe zone and will not enter the dangerous zone." After speaking, Wen Fenghe gave the students the sound of digesting the information. He opened the lid of the cup himself, drank a few sips of water, and after a while, he continued. "Secondly, AOI feeds on sadness. For it, sadness is the best food. Therefore, people entering the Forbidden Area should try to keep a cheerful mood, and at the same time, try to avoid being affected by the crying in the Forbidden Area. By then, each college will have 1 or more psychological counselors accompanying them. If you notice that your emotions have changed, you should actively seek help from the psychological counselors. Third, the Forbidden Area is very dangerous at night. Even the safe area has a certain degree of danger, because at night, there is a thing that wanders around in the Forbidden Area. That thing is called ghosts. They will appear in the form of humans who died after being sucked of sadness by AOI. They roam around the Forbidden Area at night, with the most in the core area, and decreasing in other areas. They are not aggressive in themselves, but when they appear, they will ask all kinds of questions to the humans in the Forbidden Area. Remember, don't respond. If you answer, you will be noticed and marked by AOI. So, at night, don't answer anyone's questions, unless you are face to face. Fourth, be careful of strangers in the Forbidden Area. Even if they move normally and can communicate, there is a possibility that they are not human, but corpses controlled by AOE. AOE will spread a large number of corpses under his control in and out of the core area and the danger zone. These corpses are both his eyes and ears and his guards, and they are aggressive. Maybe they were chatting with you in the last second and stabbed a knife into your neck in the next second. The key to identifying corpses or strangers is observation. The skin of the corpses is not shiny, and some old corpses are even rotten, but they usually wear cloaks to conceal their differences to the greatest extent. Another feature is that they don't breathe, so as long as you are not careless, you can basically identify them. Because of this feature, there are basically no gold diggers or adventure groups entering the Valley of Sorrow. Near it, there is only a ground base in Jinj City for surveillance, and as a material transfer station. The above is some basic information about the Valley of Sorrow. After listening to Wei Fenghua's story, the students had a deeper understanding of the forbidden area, where they were about to go to for actual combat. Luo Yan even recalled the forbidden areas he had been to. Among those forbidden areas, only the Ghost City was relatively strange, but this Valley of Sorrow was even stranger than the Ghost City, just by listening to the description. This made him wonder, if the Valley of Sorrow was not far from the Golden Jesity, why didn't the Golden Jesity or the Shangang Dragon Riders destroy the forbidden area? In the following time, Wei Fenghua guided the students to form a staff group, a maintenance class, a logistics class, etc., forming a small military system to serve the combat team. 2 days passed in a blink of an eye. This day was the day to set off for the Valley of Sorrow, and Luo Yan and others boarded the school bus again in school uniforms. One school bus after another drove out of the underground city and merged with the school's mecha carrier, and then under the protection of the Golden Jessity's escort convoy, it drove to the number 11 forbidden area. 2 days later at noon, the convoy arrived at a base controlled by Jinj City near the forbidden area. This base was built to monitor the forbidden area and to serve as a transit point for supplies. In addition, it was directly controlled by the underground city, so its style was very different from other surface bases. The roads in the base were straight and wide, the buildings were neat and orderly, and patrol vehicles were coming and going from time to time, just like the style of a military base. The students took a break here today, and will officially enter the forbidden area tomorrow. In addition, because there were 18 colleges entering the forbidden area, the organizers of the conference divided it into 9 areas, each of which accommodated 2 colleges at the same time, allowing each college to enter the forbidden area from different areas, to avoid all colleges from crowding into the forbidden area. In this way, each college's initial competition object was determined. Note, AOE, the original text is, these 2 words cannot be typed, so homophones are used instead. Chapter 479, Assignment of Tasks. At night, Luo Yan and other main combat team members came to Li Boheng's room. The quiet boy with glasses fell asleep and glanced at some of his classmates around him. We will enter the forbidden area tomorrow. Our staff group has some opinions and would like to put them forward for your reference. Xiaoping did not look down on Li Boheng just because he was a freshman. He nodded and said, go ahead. Li Boheng first looked at Bei. I don't know if it's a coincidence or the teachers deliberately arranged it. The one entering the same area with us tomorrow is Kanghe College. Senior Bei was once a student of Kanghe College. We have to compete with Kanghe College from the beginning. I want to know if Senior Bei will be reluctant to take action against her former alumni. Let me make it clear first. I don't doubt that Senior Bei will side with them. It's just that I need to understand Senior Bei's thoughts first, so that I can adjust our strategy. Bei thought for a while and said, of course I have feelings for Kanghe College. Senior Shen Yishan and Senior Ziyan have both helped me a lot. But precisely because of this, I will go all out in the competition. I think this is a minimum respect for them. Li Boheng smiled and said, then I have no doubts. He looked at Luo Yan again. Although everyone's starting area is different, in the end, everyone will have to enter the danger zone. The reason is that there are only a limited number of behemoths in the safe zone. Everyone nodded. The reason why the safe zone is called the safe zone is because there are only a limited number of behemoths in this area. Even if there are behemoths, they are mostly low level. Behemoths are like animals, with very clear concepts of territory and class. In each forbidden area, the core area must be the territory of the dominant behemoth. Except for the behemoths it allows, other behemoths that enter will be expelled or even killed. There are many behemoths in the dangerous area, and there are a large number of mid-level and low-level behemoths. This area is also where high-level behemoths often appear. As for the safe zone, it is usually the edge of the forbidden area, and it is also where various gold diggers and adventure groups appear. At this time, Li Boheng continued, after the game begins, the two teams in the starting area will definitely compete first and clear out the giant beasts in the starting area first, and then consider entering the danger zone or the starting area of other colleges. According to Teacher Wen's previous suggestion, then tomorrow, when the game starts, classmate Luo, you will go directly into the danger zone for hunting. Xiaoping asked, why don't you let classmate Luo go to the starting areas of other colleges to sweep? Wouldn't that be much easier? There are two reasons. Li Boheng smiled and said, first, there are limited giant beasts in the safe area, and most of them are low-level giant beasts. Even the starting area assigned to Xiaonan College may not have more giant beasts than us. If classmate Luo Yan goes to someone else's starting area, not only will there be fewer scoring targets, but it may also attract the two colleges to jointly expel him, thus wasting time. Second, classmate Luo Yan's Bion is a Divine Guard level machine. As far as I know, there are not many Divine Guard level machines driven by students in various colleges now. Including classmate Luo Yan's Bion, there are no more than 5. With the Divine Guard class machine, I believe that classmate Luo Yan will have no problem entering the danger zone for hunting alone. What's more, the Bion is equipped with a Divine Weapon class shield. If he can't defeat it, he can still retreat. So, instead of letting classmate Luo Yan go to the starting areas of other academies to waste time, it is better to go directly into the danger zone for hunting. There are many scoring targets in the danger zone. If classmate Luo Yan kills one, the other academies will have one less scoring target. Whether this is to quickly increase points in the early stage and widen the gap with other academies, or in the later stage, it will prevent other academies from having behemoths to kill, making it difficult for them to catch up with us. It has extremely important significance. After listening to Li Boheng's analysis, Xiaoping and others agreed, and Li Boheng continued. As for the four of you, Senior Xiaoping, since classmate Luo is already hunting alone, take a more risky and radical approach. You guys don't have to take risks, just play it safe. Try to clear out the behemoths in the starting area first, and then advance into the dangerous area. In this case, whoever can find the behemoth first will have an absolute advantage. And based on the fact that both sides, or even multiple parties, have behemoth radars, which student's divine treasure can find the behemoth faster than the behemoth radar will have a huge impact on the game. Therefore, I want Senior Bei to use one of her weird abilities to create this advantage for us. Bei blinked. You mean Black Nothing? Li Boheng smiled and nodded. Yes, I've read your information. In addition to allowing you to hide your body, Black Nothing can also search for your designated target. If it can help us find the behemoth faster than Kanghe College, or even other colleges, then we've won half the battle. Bei nodded and said, no problem, I'll let Black Nothing search for the behemoth tomorrow. Li Boheng smiled and said, considering that Senior Bei is from Kang College, I have to assume that the other party has also considered this possibility. Then they may keep an eye on Senior Bei, follow us, and then kill the giant beast first when they find it. So at this time, Senior Xiaoping and Senior Liu Ruohan need to take action to intercept the mechs that want to kill the giant beast. Then, the task of killing the giant beast will be handed over to classmate Lin Wei or Senior Bei. Li Boheng methodically assigned tasks to each member of the combat team and assumed a variety of situations and strategies to deal with them. So when Luo Yan and others walked out of the room, it was already late. Bei glanced at the door and whispered, classmate Boheng is very powerful, he is very careful, he has thought of almost all possible situations, and has given countermeasures. Luo Yan nodded in agreement. He remembered that, when he first entered school and took the college test, Li Boheng had shown his expertise in this area. Now he has further developed this specialty. He will definitely be a wise general in the future. For a military system, Li Boheng is the brain of the team and an indispensable role. The next day, one by one, the academy convoy set off, leaving the base and heading for the Valley of Sorrow. Sitting in the car, Luo Yan looked out the window. The weather was getting warmer, but because the ice and snow were melting, The room temperature was still relatively cold. This phenomenon will last at least until April before the spring season arrives. But before the arrival of warm spring, countless lives have disappeared in the cold winter. Faintly, the roar of a giant beast floated outside the car window. Luo Yan narrowed his eyes slightly, concentrated his mind, adjusted his mood, checked his equipment, and prepared for the battle. 2 hours later, they officially entered the number 11 forbidden area, the Valley of Sorrow. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 480, Strange Valley. It was noon when we arrived at the forbidden area. The sun was high in the sky, and even in March, it was somewhat warm. But the moment the convoy entered the forbidden area, it seemed as if we had entered another world, and the warmth suddenly disappeared without a trace. Looking around, the jungle seemed to have no end, and there was a faint mist floating between the rolling mountains. The sun was still bright, but it seemed to have lost its temperature and only had the function of lighting. At this time, the convoy was located at a high altitude. Through the unusually dense jungle, in the floating faint mist, we could vaguely see the appearance of a small town. The town buildings were quaint, and we could see a small river running through the town. The river was frozen in winter, but now it has melted, and the river can be seen flowing in the sun. There were 3 or 5 small boats floating on the river, tied to the dock, so that they were not carried away by the water. In the long streets and alleys of the town, people could be vaguely seen walking, and it seemed that there were still people in the town. If it was before the giant disaster, such a scene would be normal, but after the disaster, such a scene would be weird. Did you see that town? There are people in that town. In the school bus, Xiaoping put down the telescope and handed it to Luo Yan. Luo Yan took the telescope and saw that most of the ancient buildings with white walls and black tiles in the town were in ruins. Shrubs and weeds have invaded the town, and the roofs of many houses are covered with a succulent plant called wasam. In the window of a 3-story building, Luo Yan saw a woman walk to the window and make a gesture of closing the door to the completely broken window. The woman's hair was messy and long to her feet. Her face was dry and wrinkled. There was no luster on her pale face that a living person should have, and it was covered with brown spots. After her empty eyes swept a few times casually, she returned to the house, sat down at a dressing table, picked up a comb that had lost its teeth, and combed her hair in front of the grey mirror. Those should be the zombies controlled by Aoyi. They are so scary. They are still doing some of the activities they did before they died, pretending to be alive, and luring outsiders in. Liu Ruohan also looked into the mirror with the telescope. I bet that town must be a trap. Just as he finished speaking, a burst of crying came from somewhere. Sobbing, sometimes there and sometimes not. It sounded creepy. Luo Yan put down the telescope and looked at the huge valley. He really felt the weirdness of the Valley of Sorrow. After entering the forbidden area, the convoys of Basin Academy and Kang Academy separated and went to the initial camping site designated by the conference. There they can make adjustments, plan exploration routes, go to the preset locations to set up supply points, make logistical preparations, reset the command center, etc. After arriving at the designated camping site, the conference dispatchers assisted the team members, handed over various materials provided by the conference, and told the students that the competition started from the moment they entered the forbidden area. So everyone did not dare to neglect it. Li Bohan was busy arranging personnel from all parties to make various arrangements and preparations. Luo Yang followed the plan, changed into his driving suit, and ran directly to his mecha carrier. After a busy period, the band started up and got out of the carrier. Boom. As the mecha stepped on the ground, the camp not far away shook slightly, and the surrounding trees were shaking, but no birds were startled. The students in the camp looked at the Bayan and saw the white mecha with black stripes, with tough lines, a machine gun on its shoulder, and a shield on its left hand. It took a big step past the camp and went deep into the forbidden area. That's Celuo's God Guard mecha. I envy him for driving a God Guard before he even graduated. People are different. I haven't even touched a primary mecha, but he's already driving a god guard. Then why don't you see how he got the god guard? If you were in those battles that Luo participated in, it would be a question whether you could survive until now. No more talking, let's get to work. There's a lot to accomplish today. Driving the Bayan, Luo Yan quickly went away. In order to avoid accidents, as soon as he left the camp, he turned on the hypercore matrix and activated the stealth ability of the Tao, making the mecha disappear in the air. Luo Yan was still worried, so he used the secret method opening the ghost wheel to put the mecha into a completely stealth state. The Valley of Sorrow is vast, with mountains stretching for thousands of kilometers. Affected by the Overlord beast, the plants and animals here have also mutated. On the way deep into the forbidden area, Luo Yan saw a strange tree with a mouth that could make crying sounds. When the wind blows, it makes a sad cry, which attracts some animals. Once those animals approach this tree that can cry, vines will be ejected from the mouth of the strange tree, entangle the prey and strangle it, or penetrate the prey's body through the mouth and nose to extract the essence and blood. As for animals, for the time being, Luo Yan only saw a leopard with a human face. Although it can't make a cry, the human face is extremely sad and looks very sad. As Luo Yan goes deeper into the forbidden area, the cries coming from nowhere become more and more obvious, and the voices can be heard of different genders and ages. Just like now, behind the mecha, from a jungle, a cry similar to that of a little girl sounded. And there were faint words. Woo woo woo, where are you, Dad? Don't leave me listening to such cries. Luo Yan had a blank expression on his face, and these sounds could not affect his emotions. In the years he lived on the surface, he had heard more miserable cries than this, so how could he be so easily affected? In a blink of an eye, it was dark. At this time, Luo Yan barely reached the edge of the safe zone, which shows how large the area of this forbidden area is. Luo Yan hid the mecha, reported his position to Li Boheng and others, and then took out the battlefield food near the mecha and ate it. He didn't make a fire to heat the food, so the taste was terrible, but Luo Yan was not picky about food, so he didn't think it was a big deal. Just after finishing his meal and preparing to go back to the mecha to rest, he heard someone behind him ask, "Brother, are you alone?" It was dark in the wilderness. Unexpectedly, someone spoke behind him. Even Luo Yan was startled and almost picked up the dragon elephant next to him and turned around to sweep. But he just stood up, grabbed the dragon elephant, and turned around slowly. He saw a man's face under a big tree not far behind him. He looked like a middle-aged man, wearing glasses, with empty eyes. Then an illusory figure walked out of the tree, and this person asked mechanically, "Brother, are you alone?" As he spoke, the man's head made a clicking sound and turned like a toy with a chain. Chapter 481, 100 Demons Parade at Night. A ghost. Luo Yan immediately knew what he had encountered. A ghost, the eyes and ears of the Overlord beast Aoyi, will appear in the forbidden strange things at night. Luo Yan did not respond, turned around and was about to leave, and suddenly felt a hand holding the dragon elephant slightly cold. Looking down, his hair couldn't help but numb. A little girl of 7 or 8 years old, with 2 small braids with red robes tied with bows, wearing a printed cotton jacket, holding a fluffy kitten doll in one hand, and the other hand on the back of Luo Yan's hand. When Luo Yan looked down, she also raised her head, revealing a pair of dark eyes, and her pale little face was translucent, and the grass under her feet could be seen. "Have you seen my Xiaohua? Xiaohua is my favorite kitten doll, but I lost it. If you see it, can you tell me?" After that, the little girl's head also turned like the middle-aged ghost before, making a click, like a clockwork toy. Luo Yan raised his head little by little, not even daring to look at the puppet in her hand. God knows whether the movement of his eyes can be regarded as a response. Then Luo Yan turned around with the dragon elephant and was about to return to the mecha, but he was surprised to see a short old lady standing behind him. The old lady was very old, with grey hair, a small body leaning on a cane, and wrinkles on her face. She opened and closed her toothless mouth and said, "Grandson, have you seen my grandson? My little tiger is smart and cute, white and chubby, and I don't know how many people like him. If you see him, can you tell me where he ran to?" I'm old, my legs and feet are not smooth, and I can't keep up with him. At this time, there are more and more ghosts. They walked out of the trees, floated from the grass, poked their heads out of the water, and drilled out of the treetops. More and more ghosts emerged from various things, and they wandered aimlessly. These ghosts include old people, children, young men, and mature women. They walked around, casually asking all kinds of questions to the air, to the flowers, plants, fish, and insects. Coupled with the various cries that kept coming from the danger zone, the entire Valley of Sorrow was like a ghostland, gloomy and terrifying to the extreme. Luo Yan looked straight ahead and ignored the ghosts. He returned to the mecha and ignored the ghosts that were either lying on the mecha or standing in various places on the mecha. Even in the cab, Luo Yang could see this kind of thing. They are everywhere and can penetrate everywhere. When they meet people, they will ask all kinds of questions, but if they are ignored, they will disappear on their own. Just one left, and another one came, or even more. Luo Yan sat in the cab and looked out through the panoramic window. At this height, he could see the distance of the forbidden area. I saw pale and illusory ghosts moving all over the mountains and fields. Many ghosts even came in groups, like ants moving on rainy days, shuttling between various hills and jungles in the forbidden area. At this time, Luo Yan saw a flash of fire in the distance of the safe zone, as if the mechs of some academy were fighting. In the jungle, in the place where Luo Yan's site was, several mechs from Zhengde College in Pingyao City were besieging an armored rhinoceros. The body of this mid-level giant beast was covered with thick armor-like armor, and the unique one on its forehead was big and thick, with red flames burning in its eyes, and it was ramming into the mechs like crazy. Hold on, we were defeated by Basin College in the competition, and now we are fighting in the forbidden area. We can't lose. It's just a mid-level beast. We can win. Don't panic. Zanpeng, you attract the attention of the beast. Yanzi, greeted with armor-piercing bullets. Others, attack it with me. With the cooperation of these mechs, finally, this mid-level giant beast was scarred, and the thick armor on its body was blasted with holes one after another by the armor-piercing bullets, and blood was pouring out. When a Zhuangji stabbed the beast's mouth with a spear and killed it, everyone in the cab breathed a sigh of relief. Especially the mecha master who was responsible for attracting the beast's attention. He leaned back in his seat, closed his eyes and said, "Finally killed it." At this time, a voice rang out, "Are you okay?" The student named Zanpeng nodded and said, "I'm fine, how about you?" But what he didn't expect was that the captain said in the communication channel, "Zanpeng, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to?" Zanpeng suddenly opened his eyes, and something was staring at him from the corner of his eyes. Zanpeng turned his head quickly, and saw that there was a man beside him in the cab. He had a receding hairline, wore glasses, and wore a suit and tie. He looked like an office worker, but this man's body was translucent, like a ghost. A ghost. The ghost, who had originally been expressionless, suddenly showed a strange smile, and a click 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 sound came from his neck. Like a clockwork toy, his head began to turn. He turned 180 degrees, and then his mouth made a very sharp sound. "You responded. I saw you." In other mechs of Zhengde College, students suddenly heard the classmate named Zanpeng screaming. "Zanpeng, what happened?" "It's a ghost, Captain. There is a ghost in my cab. I just responded to it." "What? Captain, what should we do now?" At this time, someone else shouted softly, "Captain, look ahead." The captain looked out through the panoramic window and saw groups of ghosts in the distance, rushing over the mountains and plains. The captain said, "Don't panic. Ghosts are not aggressive. Let's go back to the camp first." But at this time, the ghosts in the distance began to hug each other as they rushed over, and then gradually merged into a pale illusory giant beast. The beast looked like a cow, with 4 horns and long thick hair, like a straw raincoat. It was the overlord beast Aoyi. But now the beast seemed to have no entity, but an illusory figure. It rushed towards the mecha group of Zhengde College quickly, and before the others could react, it crashed into Zanpeng's mecha. Zanpeng saw the illusory beast coming towards him in the cockpit, and instinctively raised his hand and screamed. The illusory beast penetrated the panoramic window, entered the mecha, and passed through the mecha operator's body. Suddenly, the mecha operator on the seat was shocked, and then his eyes became empty, and his two arms were put down. What is this? Is it the Overlord Beast? In other mechas, the students of Xing College watched the illusory beast penetrate their classmates' mechas, and then split into ghosts, spreading to other parts of the jungle, and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Chapter 482 Encounter. Gone. Disappeared? Those minions are gone. Zanpeng, are you okay? The voices of classmates kept ringing in the communication channel, but the mecha master Zanpeng did not respond. He sat in the seat, his eyes empty and blank, his hands hanging down, motionless. After a while, the cab was manually opened from the outside, and two students came in to check on Zanpeng's condition. Zanpeng, how are you? Are you feeling uncomfortable? They waved their hands in front of their classmates' eyes, and seeing that Zanpeng did not respond, one took off his helmet, and the other checked Zanpeng's vital signs. His vital signs are very stable, and it doesn't look like he was injured anywhere. The other patted the classmate's face, but found that Zanpeng did not respond at all. Captain, Zanpeng will not become a vegetable, will he? The captain's expression was solemn, and he said, quick, contact the organizer of the conference. Not long after, in the cab of Bayan, Luo Yan received a message from the organizer. Please pay attention to all students. Xing College student Chen Zanpeng has been attacked by ghosts again. This weirdness seems to have changed in a way that it didn't have before. Once you respond, a large number of ghosts will merge into the appearance of Aoyi and attack the responder. After being attacked, Chen Zanpeng's life characteristics are normal, but he has lost his response to external stimuli. It is initially suspected that the ghosts in the form of Aoyi will make humans lose consciousness. Please be careful, students. Try not to act at night, so as not to distract your mind, and give ghosts an opportunity to take advantage. The ghosts have changed. Luo Yan looked at this message, and was glad that he didn't respond. Even now, one or two ghosts still come out of the cab from time to time. Luo Yan turned off the main power of the mecha, curled up on the back of the chair, ignored the ghosts, and closed his eyes to take a nap. The next day, when it was dawn, Luo Yan looked at a little boy ghost in the cab, and his figure disappeared little by little in the sunlight. It was like a bubble, disappearing in the morning sunlight. But the ghost disappeared, but the crying from the danger zone did not stop. It was as if there were thousands of people in the danger zone, weeping and crying day and night. After Luo Yan washed up and had breakfast, he drove the beacon to go deep into the danger zone. Just like yesterday, he used the secret method Kuyulun, and kept the beacon invisible, so that the mecha went deep into the forbidden area like a huge ghost. After entering the danger zone, those crying and miserable words were heard from time to time. And unlike in the safe zone, the crying and words in the danger zone already carried the power that affected emotions. Luo Yan took out the prepared in-ear headphones and put them in his ears so that he could not hear those crying. He also let a few dragon scales appear behind him to avoid being affected by the power in the crying. Even if it was an incomplete transformation into a dragon posture, the fierce meaning naturally emanating from the dragon blood essence, it could always easily break up those abnormal forces that affected Luo Yan's mind. After walking for a while, a spectrum signal suddenly appeared in the giant beast radar. Blue signal. A lower level giant beast was coming towards the Bayan, and Luo Yan immediately stopped the mecha. A moment later, he saw the jungle in front of him, and the trees fell to both sides. The giant beast Lili, that looked like a wild boar, ran towards him. It didn't look like it had discovered Luo Yan and the mecha, but it seemed to be frightened by something. Luo Yan didn't make a move, watching the giant beast pass through the woods not far in front of the panoramic window, watching this big wild boar trample a passage in the woods. Then he drove the Bayan to explore the front, and turned on the Wu Wang burning eyes. Not long after, Luo Yan was one step ahead of the giant beast radar, and found a giant beast. It was a flying beast, overall like an owl, with a face like a human. The face looked like a middle-aged man with deep nasolabial folds. It had 4 eyes and even ears. It has black feathers on its body, but the ends of the feathers gradually turn into vermilion. On each of its 2 wings, there is a black and white eye, which scans left and right, which is very strange. A high-level giant beast. Luo Yan still remembers that when he first arrived in the underground city, Guangling City was attacked, and Zheng went to fight. At that time, among the giant beasts that attacked Guangling, there was such a flying beast. At that time, this flying beast was not in the archives of the Giant Beast Strategic Office, but now, the Giant Beast Strategic Office has named it, and its name is. It is recorded in Shanhaijing that 400 miles to the east is the mountain called Linqiu, which has no grass or trees, but a lot of fire. There is a valley in the south, called Zanggu, and the wind comes out from it. There is a bird, which looks like an owl, with a human face, 4 eyes and ears. Its name is, pronounced Yu. It calls itself, and when it is seen, there will be a severe drought in the world. At this moment, this giant bird is standing by the lake with its wings dangling. The eyes on the face, that looked like a middle-aged man rolled, and then he lowered his head to drink water. The raccoon must have been scared away by it. At this time, Luo Yan used the secret method Ki Owlan, and hid his body, so he did not attract the attention of the giant bird. Luo Yan controlled the bind and quietly went towards the giant bird. After a while, the distance between the two sides was only 1,000 meters. The eagle seemed to react and raised his head. A puzzled expression appeared on the face of the middle-aged man. He looked around and lowered his head to drink water again. We can't get any closer. Luo Yan estimated the distance between the two and made a decisive move. He first changed the secret method from Ki Owlan to Ki Owlan. The secret method Kapalan will produce different effects when different soul wheels are switched. Like now, when it changes from Yaolan to Yuanlan, the power of Yaolan will be greater and stronger. The human-faced bird drinking water by the lake suddenly noticed a violent breath erupting behind him. The blazing breath like a volcanic eruption immediately attracted its attention. The human-faced bird made a strange cry, spread its wings with huge eyeballs, and was about to flap its wings to escape. At this moment, a mist-like light rushed in at a high speed. This light was as thin as smoke, reflecting a golden light like the sun. Wherever it passed, the grass and trees spontaneously ignited without fire, and the air temperature rose rapidly. Just as it was about to split the human-faced bird in two, the eyes on the wings of the giant beast suddenly shone with strange light. Suddenly, the golden rainbow light deviated from its direction and passed through the left wing of the human-faced bird. Cut off its wing at the root. The dragon screamed, and the remaining wing flapped wildly, fanning out a group of light red powder. After the powder floated away, it gradually turned into flames and even exploded, burned and destroyed the grass and trees near the lake. At this time, the bind was exposed. Under Luo Yan's control, he raised his shield and rushed over. The human-faced bird turned its head, and the middle-aged man had a ferocious expression on his face and resentful eyes. The remaining wing flapped violently towards the mecha, blowing out the light red powder. It also blew out a strong wind, pushing the powder to quickly sprinkle towards Bayan. Chapter 483, Taking the Lead. In the cockpit of Bayan, through the panoramic window, Luo Yan saw the human-faced bird fan out a large amount of powder and push it over with a strong wind. He had no intention of avoiding it. The divine weapon level large shield Xuanwu blocked in front, activating the shield with up to 36 layers of barriers, and concentrated them in front, layer by layer. At the same time, the supercore matrix, the energy absorption characteristics of Teoti were turned on. The mecha took a big step, running and shaking the earth, and the ground was undulating. At this time, the powder blown by the human-faced bird began to explode and erupted in flames. It turned into a surging river of fire that hit Bayan. In the cockpit, Luo Yan felt a vibration, and the panoramic window was full of surging red flames. He turned on the Wu Wang burning eyes, his sight penetrated the flames, and fell on the broken-winged human-faced bird. The cunning upper-level beast intercepted Luo Yan with a surging flame attack, and also used the flames to block Luo Yan's sight. It could no longer fly away, so it folded its single wing and tried to flee. How could Luo Yan let it escape? The 36 layers of barriers of the Xuanwu shield blocked the flames, and the energy absorption characteristics of the Teoti also absorbed the impact of the flames, and the high temperature brought by the red flames. In a blink of an eye, Luo Yan rushed out of the flames driving the Bayan, and then he turned on the Bayan's jet. Boom. The 8 main and auxiliary jets behind the mecha fired at full power, forming a huge driving force. This made the bion whistle and rush quickly towards the human-faced bird in front of it. With only one wing left, the yarn could not fly into the sky. How could it be faster on the ground than the mecha using the jet? Outside the panoramic window, the light and shadow quickly retreated, and only the figure of the human-faced bird became larger and larger. The long sword Fian flew into the air, and the Yuanli burst out, shaking out a sword shadow as ethereal as wind and smoke. The unique skill, Yishu Fengan. After constant polishing and hard practice day and night, Luo Yan's unique skill finally had some of the meaning of the Yishu River and the hazy wind and smoke. The human-faced bird looked back and saw the sword force without a trace of fireworks, looking soft and weak, like the spring breeze and drizzle. In an instant, the spring breeze turned into rain, moistening things silently. The sword shadows in the sky had passed by the human-faced bird. Young's whole body stiffened for a moment, and then tens of thousands of blood arrows burst out from his body. The blood arrows soared into the sky, and the flying feathers were scattered all over the sky. The ground and trees behind the giant beast suddenly exploded into fine powder, which was lifted by the sword wind, and turned into a hazy wind and smoke, which slowly dissipated. The human-faced bird screamed. At this time, the middle-aged man's face, in his two eyeballs, reflected the posture of the rotating body of the bion and the long sword Fian ready to sweep. Then a head flew up into the air, with a stream of blood, and fell to the ground. After rolling in the grass for a while, it finally stopped. Luo Yan finally breathed a sigh of relief in the cab. He exhaled a long breath. He shook his head gently. He opened the Yaolin to cut the Yuanlin, and after bursting the Yuanli, he used the unique skill, a belt of long rainbow, to cut off the wings of the. Then he had to use another unique skill to severely injure it, and finally beheaded it. You know, Zheng didn't have such trouble at that time. He killed the same giant beast with the combat skill Thunderflash. It seems that Luo Yan deeply felt that there was still a considerable gap between him and Zheng. At this time, the picture of Luo Yan sweeping off the head of the human-faced bad with one slash appeared on the screen of the organizer of the conference. Soon, all the students participating in the Forbidden Land actual combat received a message. Basin Academy killed the upper-level giant beast and obtained 20 points. Basin Academy temporarily leads the points. As soon as this message came out, it immediately caused 1,000 waves. Did I see wrongly? An upper-level behemoth? It's only the second day, and Basin has killed an upper-level behemoth. Don't you want us to live? If it's an upper-level behemoth, it should be in the danger zone. Has anyone from Basin Academy already entered the danger zone? Needless to say, it must have been Luo Yan who did it. That guy's mecha is of the God Guard level, and only he can break into the danger zone. Too strong. Even if he is driving a God Guard level, it's outrageous for one person to kill an upper-level behemoth. I would believe it if you said he was a third-year student from Cheyenne Third College, but Luo Yan is only a first year. Various radio waves were spreading on the communication channels of different colleges. When the Lingchuan College team heard the news, Fu Yan shouted, "Senior Li Jun, let me attack. It's just a higher level. If Luo Yan can kill it, I can do it too." Li Jun said in a deep voice, "Do you have a Shenwei mecha? You are driving a high-level machine now, and its performance is far inferior to that of the Shenwei. If you rush into the danger zone without the support of your teammates, you will die when you encounter a difficult higher level." Fu Yan muttered in the cockpit, "I can use technology to make up for the gap between the machines." Li Jun said, "There is no need to do this. Today, our entire team will enter the danger zone to hunt. I think Cheyenne and Yingshan will probably do the same. There is no need to waste time in the safe zone." Fu Yan heard it and said, "Okay, let's go now." In the danger zone, next to the corpse of a mid-level behemoth lying on the ground, there is a mecha with a simple style. The gilded fuselage, the armor like an ancient warrior, and the long spear in hand, are Xing Feng's mecha. In the cockpit, Xing Feng saw the message sent by the organizer of the conference, and said with a smile, "Luo Yan is so lucky." He looked around. "I came in yesterday, but unfortunately I didn't encounter an upper-level beast." Then the mecha dissected the core of the giant beast, and after recovering it, Xing Feng drove the mecha away. After the initial shock passed, the students regained their composure, and under the advice of various staff teams, they took action one after another. The same was true for Basin Academy. Hearing that Luo Yan had killed an upper level beast, Xiaoping and others were all excited. After cheering, they threw themselves into the game. In the forbidden area, the black nobody, who was like wearing a black cloak, was pointing the way for the team and leading everyone to a mid-level beast. That was Ziru, and in the jungle, its wood control ability would be maximized. Therefore, the 4 people from Basin Academy prepared to fight quickly. Suppress it with base weirdness. Lin Wei quickly kills it. Liu Ruohan and Xiaoping assist and cover and prevent other college teams from stealing the credit. Soon, they found the target, but just when Bei was about to act, the shadow behind the big deer suddenly rose silently and turned into a black mecha. The mecha was made entirely of shadows, and it was drawing a long sword and was about to attack the beast. Just to the left of the big deer, deep in the woods, a black mecha was lurking in it, and it made movements synchronized with the shadow mecha. In the mecha cockpit, Dong Huang laughed and said, "Thank you, little lunatic. I knew I would gain something by following you. Let me show you my progress in the past 6 months. I have developed my own divine treasure and exerted new abilities. You are not the only one who is making progress." As Dong Huang was about to stab the long sword, at this moment, 7 or 8 phantom wolves suddenly rushed out from the side bushes. The wolves rushed up and knocked down Dong Huang's mecha, interrupting his control over the giant beast's shadow. The shadow mecha collapsed immediately. Chapter 484, A Wise General. Li Bohan had warned before that people who were familiar with Bei might take advantage of Bei's weirdness. So when Basin Academy started to act, Liu Ruohan used his divine ability to arrange a wolf pack. It came in handy at this moment. After Dong Huang got rid of the wolf pack in a hurry, he saw Xiaoping's mecha pop up again. He laughed and turned around and ran away. "This kid," Xiaoping said, but did not chase him. He controlled the mecha to return to the main team. At this time, Ziru was already alert. The giant beast shaped like a big deer stood up, stretched out its arms like a human to control the surrounding plants, and wanted to entangle the magic machine 8 gates. Under Bei's control, the weird he woo in front of him, the body like a black cloak, rotated rapidly and turned into a vortex. Then from the vortex, 2 huge, black and blue arms with many complex patterns stretched out. Blue Zio. After switching to weird, Lan Zio grabbed the big deer's hands with his 2 big hands, and with a sudden tug, he threw the giant beast to the ground. The vines and roots that were reaching for the 8 gates suddenly lost control and fell down in midair. At this time, a ball of red rushed out of the forest. Red moth. Under Lin Wen's control, this machine held a knife in each hand, black on the left and white on the right. Extreme knife. The red moth added a jet, and under its 2 cicada-like wings, it sprayed a light blue flame, pushing the machine to approach the giant beast at high speed. The machine then rotated, and the black long knife instantly slashed across the body of the giant beast. Next, the red moth rotated like a gyroscope. In an instant, the black and white double knives hit the big deer. The knife wind whistled, and the vines and branches around were cut into pieces and swayed with the wind. In a blink of an eye, the red moth passed by the big deer, and the machine stopped rotating, and the double knives swung diagonally to the ground. Behind the mecha, the deer's whole body was shaking violently, and the black and white sword light burst continuously, and finally turned into a long sword sound. The flesh and blood of the giant beast burst out, and countless blood plasma and internal organs were sprayed out. It was Lin Wen's extreme sense of destruction. At this time, Lan Zio raised his arms high, and the black and blue flames surged in his palms, condensing into a ball. It quickly expanded into a fireball. Then the 2 arms swung down, throwing the black and blue fireball down, and hitting the deer's body. Boom. When Xiaoping and Liu Ruohan arrived nearby, they saw a black and blue fire column rising into the sky, emitting circles of fluctuations. A violent airflow was formed, blowing the surrounding trees to fall in the opposite direction. In the fire column, the deer's body gradually charred, and when the fire column disappeared, the signal spectrum of the giant beast disappeared. After being promoted to the advanced realm, Bei can control 2 weird at the same time. When she only controls 1, the weird will be more powerful and have more means. In the camp of the organizer of the conference, looking at a screen showing a group of people from Basin Academy working together to surround and kill a mid-level mecha core. A colonel from the Jinbei City Mecha Corps said, Basin Academy has always been in the middle of the pack, but I didn't expect it to shine at this sports meet. A tutor from Yushu Academy nodded and said, it's really surprising. They have both first year student Luo Yan and sophomore student Bei. These two are rare talents. A teacher from another academy said, don't forget, first year student Lin Wei is no simple person either. She is a student of Dr. Jiuying and is usually engaged in research, so she is not well known. But her performance at this sports meet is also remarkable. After adding 8 points to Basin Academy, a staff officer from the strategic office said, there are also their first year student Li Boheng and sophomore Yang Lixi. I've read the strategic report they jointly submitted. Although some parts are a little immature, the report is not inferior to that of a regular army. In addition, the two are also different. Li Boheng's strategy is grand and steady, while Yang Lixi is a scheming student. The two complement each other, and complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. They are both wise generals. Just then, on one screen, a giant beast that was walking suddenly had its head exploded, and its spectral signal disappeared. It's a mid-level giant beast, and it's in the danger zone. The attacker is Liu Yu, a student of B College, and the mecha he's driving is the advanced mecha chameleon. B College lost the competition early on, and I didn't expect that a student would break into the danger zone now. This is normal. Some students' special skills can't be fully utilized in the competition. Otherwise, why would we set up a forbidden area for actual combat? In the camp of the organizer of the conference, instructors, staff officers, and officers were discussing the expressions of the students. Far away in the forbidden area, near the fallen black tiger-shaped giant beast, after a piece of light turned bright, a mecha walked out. This mecha uses armor made of scales, and the color of the armor changes from time to time, just like a chameleon. When the mecha collected and recovered the core of the giant beast, an ordinary looking boy in the cockpit said, I've been holding back my anger for a long time in the competition. My chameleon is good at hiding, and it works well with my sniping. The actual combat in the forbidden area is my stage. I want to let those guys who look down on RB College open their eyes and see. After he recovered the giant beast core, a spectrum signal appeared in the giant beast radar in the cockpit. Orange, intermediate level. Another prey is delivered to the door. The student named Liu Yu immediately controlled the mecha to form a layer of protective color on the body, almost blending with the surrounding environment. The body quickly went away. A moment later, Liu Yu saw a giant bird screaming and falling from the sky above the forbidden area. That giant bird, white head, 3 legs, human face. It's Guru. It looks like it has been injured. Unable to fly. A feathered insect giant that can't fly is a waste. Thinking of this, Liu Yu excitedly ran through the jungle. Soon he saw that Guru's wings were dangling unnaturally on the ground. The face that looked like a human woman looked forward vigilantly. In the woods over there, the trees were crushed by a heavy mecha foot. Then a white mecha with black stripes, holding a shield and a sword came out. Liu Yu said, that's Luo Yan's mecha from Basin Academy, Bayan, a regular level Shenwei mecha. Inside the helmet, Liu Yu looked envious. I also spent a lot of effort to drive an advanced mecha in the 2nd grade. I originally thought that students from a prestigious school like Jiuying Academy would be no more than that. But I didn't expect that this first year student would actually drive a Shenwei. He looked at Guru again and laughed. Student Luo, you are so outstanding. You wouldn't mind giving me this intermediate level 1, right? He squatted quietly on the ground. The mecha set up a sniper rifle and put Guru's head into the crosses. Chapter 485, The Strength of a Famous School. In the cab of the Bayan, Luo Yan stared at the Guru through the panoramic window. After dealing with the core of Yang, he went hunting along the lake. For a superior beast like Yang, Luo Yan took action. If he could meet it, killed it if he could, and did not force it if he could not kill it. Just as Wei Fenghe analyzed, it is not cost effective to kill an superior beast. It is so troublesome to kill an superior beast, and it is only 20 points, which seems to be a lot of points. But killing a mid-level beast is easy, and 3 mid-level beasts will exceed 20 points. Killing 3 mid-level beasts is definitely easier than killing an superior beast. But superior beasts also have their own advantages. The rules of the competition stipulate that in addition to points, the core of the giant beast killed by an individual belongs to the killer. The core of an superior beast can be exchanged for 3 mid-level cores. Luo Yan killed Yang, and he can exchange it for 3 Teoti cores when he returns, so that his super core matrix can be upgraded. You can get new Teoti characteristics, or strengthen the energy absorption or invisibility characteristics. After recovering the core, Luo Yan found a Quaru not long after walking along the Great Lakes. It was also a human-faced bird, but it was only a mid-level Quaru, and was quickly shot down by Luo Yan. The feathered insect giant beast that couldn't fly into the sky was like a tiger with its teeth pulled out, and a fish on the shore. The threat was greatly reduced. In order to prevent someone from stealing the credit, Luo Yan raised the Zuanwu shield, and the pattern of a turtle and snake beast on the shield flashed 36 layers of defense barriers unfolded, encircling himself and Quaru. Then he rushed forward with a sword, and at this moment, a barrier on the left side of the giant beast suddenly appeared. Almost at the same time, in the depths of the forest on the left, there was a huge gunshot. Looking at the barrier again, a bullet vibrated and deformed, still trying to break through the barrier. Finally, the kinetic energy was exhausted, and it fell down. Luo Yan looked towards the forest, and the Wuang Zuan was turned on. The world turned into a simple painting with a faint red light rising. In that direction, he saw a human-shaped grey light. Mecha Master. Luo Yan kept moving, approaching Quaru, and stabbing a sword into the chest of the human-faced bird. Another sweep, just short of killing the giant beast. Then he turned around, and chased in the direction of the human-shaped grey light. There, in the chameleon mecha, Lu Yu was shocked. Why does he seem to know where I am? This is impossible. I haven't taken off my disguise. Although he was confused, Lu Yu still controlled the mecha to turn around, and wanted to get away. Suddenly, he heard a loud roar behind him, and he couldn't help but look back. He immediately groaned inwardly. It turned out that Bian had caught up. The jet behind the mecha roared, and spewed out flames, pushing Bian to fly over at high speed close to the ground. In the flying grass and trees, Bian had already caught up with the chameleon. Luo Yan used the Zuanwu shield to knock chameleon to the ground. The long sword Fian jumped up, crossed the ground, and cut a row of trees in half. At the same time, the sniper rifle of chameleon was also cut off. Luo Yan raised his foot to control the mecha, stepped on the chest of chameleon, pointed the long sword at the opponent's panoramic window, and stopped outside. In the cab, looking at the bright big sword outside the panoramic window, Lu Yu didn't even dare to breathe. Then he heard Luo Yan's voice through the mecha's external speaker. Leave here, go back. Then he raised his foot and drove the Bian away. In the cab, Lu Yu fell back, took off his helmet, and wiped the sweat from his face. I was scared to death. This Luo guy has a strong evil spirit. Is he really a freshman? I just thought he was going to stab down with his sword. At this time, the voice of a classmate sounded in the communication channel. Lu Yu, are you okay? Lu Yu smiled bitterly. I'm fine, but the sniper rifle is useless. I have to go back to the supply point. Then, he controlled the chameleon to maintain camouflage and headed towards the safe zone. On the other side, Bian stopped after walking a few steps. In the distance, Luo Yan saw a mecha. The body was gilded, and the shape of an ancient warrior. The mecha was pulling a spear out of the head of a mid-level behemoth. Then Xing Feng's voice sounded from the external speaker on the mecha. So you are nearby, classmate Luo Yan. Luo Yan paused, then said, you are here too. Xing Feng said calmly, to be precise, we are all here. Now everyone is scattered to different places to hunt. In the cab, Luo Yan's heart sank slightly. The entire team of Cheyenne College actually entered the danger zone, and 5 mechas were hunting separately. This is the strength of a top-notch school. Let's do our best together. After saying that, Xing Feng drove the mecha and left from another direction. He didn't even recover the core of the giant beast. Luo Yan glanced at the giant beast lying on the ground, then turned around and chose the opposite direction to leave. The day passed quickly. In the afternoon, Luo Yan killed another mid-level one. In this way, he earned 36 points for the academy today. At nightfall, Luo Yan returned to the supply camp of Basin Academy in the safe zone. After the mecha was parked, the students in the maintenance class were busy checking the mecha, replenishing energy, etc. Luo Yan walked into the command room and met Li Boheng, Yang Lixi and others. Yang Lixi threw a bottle of drink to Luo Yan. Have a good rest and take action tomorrow. It's too dangerous to act at night. At night, the minions were running around, which was indeed unsafe. Luo Yan nodded, unscrewed the bottle cap, and took a sip. Li Boheng handed him a wet towel and said, "Wipe it." Then he said, "You are amazing, classmate Luo. Today I actually killed a top level beast." Luo Yan took the warm wet towel, wiped his face and hands, and immediately felt much better. He was also in a good mood to talk. He said, "It was a sneak attack, and it was a feathered insect, so it worked. If it was a caterpillar or even a shelled insect, it would not be so easy for me to deal with it alone. These two types of beasts can fight and carry, especially the top level beasts. It is really not easy to fight alone. There are 5 types of beasts, and each type has its own characteristics. The advantage of feathered insects is that they can fly in the air. Without this advantage, they are indeed easier to deal with than the other 4 types of beasts." Yang Lixi smiled and said, "Don't be modest. Even if it's a feathered insect, do you think everyone can sneak attack and kill it quickly? Even Jiuying College may not be able to do it." Hearing this, Luo Yan raised his head and said, "All the people from Jiuying College have entered the danger zone and are hunting separately. Their points may soon surpass ours." Li Boheng took off his glasses, rubbed his eyebrows and said, "It's not possible. They have already surpassed us. When you come back, now Jiuying College is at the top, followed by us, and then Jiuying College and Jiangxin College are tied for third. Although we are temporarily ranked higher than Jiuying and Jiangxin, we can't underestimate them. Today is only the second day, and there are still 10 days before the end of the competition. They have every chance to catch up with us." Chapter 486. 3 Watch Drama. Woo 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 my child, where are you? It hurts so much, it hurts so much. Who will save me? Mom, Dad, don't leave me. It was night. In the dangerous area of the Forbidden Land, the cold air permeated and flowed between the jungle and the hills. Various cries came one after another, as if in the mountains, in those dark tree holes or wet water, there were sad and weeping people. Countless mourning sounds made the jungle invisible with a layer of sad atmosphere. It's so noisy. Luo covered his ears. At night, even if he put on in-ear headphones, he couldn't stop the cries from entering his ears. He was very irritable now. I don't know if it was because of the shield that Bian hit him during the day, or because Luo was too unlucky. Anyway, his mecha broke down halfway. This time, Luo was going to die. He had sent a distress signal to the camp, but the team of B College was still fighting in the safe zone, and could not go deep into the danger zone for a while. There was no way. Luo had to try to repair the mecha himself. At this time, he was wearing a safety belt and holding a tablet. He was doing a comprehensive inspection of the mecha, but his grades in the maintenance class were average, and he didn't have the right tools. Some minor faults were okay, but if he encountered a bigger problem, he could only stare blankly. Sure enough, the engine broke down. After spending some time, Luo finally figured out what was wrong with the mecha. At this time, someone asked, "What's wrong?" Luo almost answered casually, but suddenly remembered that there was a ghost at night, and quickly covered his mouth with his hand. Then he saw an old man squatting below him, on the mecha. The old man was holding a pipe in his hand, just like those old grandfathers squatting at the door of their homes in the countryside, smoking and chatting about family matters. But the old man in front of him had a transparent body, dark circles around his eyes, and even half of his body was still in the mecha. "Ghost. Have you seen my wife?" Another voice sounded in Luo's ears. Luo covered his mouth tightly, turned his head with horror, and saw a middle-aged man's face almost hitting his nose. He was so scared that he stepped back quickly, but he slipped and fell off the mecha. Fortunately, he was tied with a safety rope, so he was hanging in the air after sliding down. The middle-aged man above was still talking to the air. "My wife ran away with the boy from the Lin family. She was confused and was deceived. I have to find her back. If you see her, can you tell me where she is?" Luo climbed up the safety rope and climbed onto the cab. He saw pale ghosts emerging from the surrounding mountains and forests. These ghosts wandered aimlessly and stopped from time to time. They asked all kinds of questions to the air and the flowers and plants. When they didn't get a response, they floated away or disappeared. Sometimes, they didn't ask questions, but there was a clicking sound in their necks. Then their heads turned like a clockwork toy. There was an indescribable weird smell. Liu simply hid in the cab. I can't afford to offend, but can I not hide? As soon as he entered the cab, he saw several minions inside. An old woman minion stood with her hands behind her back, showing a sinister smile, staring at the cab. What is this? What? Liu quickly covered his mouth with his hands and closed the door of the cab. He found a sleeping bag and nestled in the corner of the cab, ready to spend the night like this. After getting into the sleeping bag, Liu turned over and faced the wall. At this time, a little girl's face appeared on the wall. Can you play with me? I'm too bored. Liu simply closed his eyes. Just like that, he ignored these minions. Those things came and went on their own. Sometimes they stared at the cab, sometimes they sat on Liu's body, and sometimes they lay on the panoramic window. I don't know how long it took like this. Liu, who was half asleep, heard a humming sound. It sounded like a troupe of opera singers singing. Even if there is 1,000 jun hanging over my head, travel the world naturally and casually, dragons dance across the seas and cause chaos, the devil's way appears before my eyes. Liu yawned. Who is it? Why are you awake in the middle of the night? He got up and suddenly saw a white figure in front of him. He was staring out of the panoramic window. Liu then remembered that he was still in the forbidden area. It was still night, and the ghosts had not left. In his cab, a pale figure was looming. The ghosts came and went, and looked out of the panoramic window. I don't know what to see. Liu couldn't help but take a curious look. His scalp suddenly numbed. Just outside the mecha, in an open space in the mountains and forests in front. I don't know when a small stage was added. Under the stage, there were tables, chairs, and benches, and ghosts appeared on those chairs or benches from time to time. Looking at the stage, an old man was singing. On both sides of the stage, there were opera troupes beating gongs and drums. Liu originally thought that those actors were also ghosts, but if you look closely, the old man on the stage and the musicians on both sides, the figures are all textured, not transparent. This is even more weird. Which normal person would run to the forbidden area in the middle of the night to sing for ghosts? At this time, Liu found that there were more and more ghosts nearby. The audience seats under the stage could no longer accommodate them, and a large group of ghosts surrounded this small stage troupe. More and more. Finally, the ghosts naturally gathered together and turned into a white giant bull lying in the forest. Arrogant. Looking at the illusory beast without a physical body, as if the soul had left the body, not far away. Liu covered his mouth desperately, not to mention talking. He didn't even dare to breathe. In the safe zone, in the camp of Basin Academy, Liu Yan suddenly woke up from his sleep. He walked to the window and faintly heard bursts of crying coming from the danger zone. Not sure if it was an illusion. He also heard the sound of the opera troupe singing on the stage. He tightened his coat and felt that this forbidden area was too weird. On the morning of the third day, Liu Yang continued to go deeper into the danger zone. At noon that day, he set his sights on a rocking cow, but he hadn't made a move yet. Above the sky, a bunch of illusory ancient bronze swords suddenly appeared. These ancient swords were surrounded by green light and shot down, and in an instant, the rocking cow was cut into pieces. Although the rocking cow was only a mid-level, it was also thick-skinned and tough, but it didn't even struggle, let alone resist. It was cut into pieces, which shows the power of those ancient swords. From this, it can be inferred that this is not a combat skill, but some kind of unique skill. After killing the rocking cow, a mecha came out of the woods. The mecha has an elegant shape and a sword box on its back, revealing an extraordinary meaning. Liu Yan glanced at the mecha and turned away. Although he had set his sights on the rocking cow, he never made a move. Now that he was killed first, there was nothing to say. But at this moment, a voice rang out from the mecha's external speaker. Bazan, Liu Yan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 487, Arrogant. Hearing the mecha on the other side calling out his name, Luo Yan immediately activated the Wu Wang blazing eyes and stared at the biological grey light in the mecha. Immediately, some information appeared in Luo Yan's eyes. Jiuying Hong, 22 years old, a sophomore at Angshan College. Realm, Advanced Level 1. Kung Fu, Chang Sunset. Angshan, Jiuying Hong. Luo Yan frowned. He had no intersection. Why was his tone full of resentment? Luo Yan immediately read his thoughts. That's him. That's the Luo guy. Hannah actually invited him. I asked someone to test it, and Hannah seems to be interested in him. In other words, he is my potential competitor. After reading it, Luo Yan only wanted to give him 2 words. Boring. Not wanting to waste any more time, Bayan turned around and wanted to leave, but here, he suddenly felt dangerous. Luo Yan immediately made the mecha take a step forward and saw a piece of mud, rocks, and grass explode near the location of the mecha. He turned his head suddenly and saw Jiuying Hong's mecha shook the sword in his hand, as if he had just attacked him with a sword-like combat skill. Luo Yan's eyes suddenly became deep. At this time, Jiuying Hong's voice sounded in the mecha's external speaker. You are from a second-rate college after all, and you don't even know the most basic manners. Don't worry, I don't want to hurt you, otherwise I would have used my unique skills to greet you just now. But you rashly broke into my hunting area and didn't even apologize. You just want to leave. Luo Yan turned on the sound speaker at this time. Your hunting area? When did the forbidden area become yours? Jiuying Hong sneered. You don't know who I am, so you dare to talk to me like this. Ignorance is not a crime. I'm a magnanimous person and I won't bother with a vulgar person like you. Luo Yan, don't think you are lucky enough to be able to drive a mecha. Just think of yourself as a big shot. In this world, there are some people you can't reach and can only look up to. To them, you are a hard-working farmer at the foot of the mountain. You have been mediocre all your life, and you may not even touch the foot of the mountain. However, some people are born to be people in the mountains. They are invaluable and unattainable. So I advise you to have some sense in your heart, and don't be so arrogant. Luo Yan has always adhered to the principle of I will not offend others, unless they offend me. At this moment, he listened to Jiuying Hong's long speech with a blank expression. He naturally knew that people were divided into different classes. But I will take my Yangwan road, and you will take your single plank bridge. People from the mountain and people from the mountain don't interfere with each other. But if people from the mountain cross the line, then I will kill them on the mountain, to see how noble you are! Exclamation mark. Of course, these words don't need to be told to others. Luo Yan is not that superficial. At that moment, Bayan faced Jiuying Hong and retreated. After retreating into the woods, he disappeared and left quickly. Jiuying Hong sneered, you still have some self-knowledge. At this time, the voices of other students from Angshan College rang in the communication channel. Jiuying Hong, what are you doing? Don't conflict with other academies. There is no need. Jiuying Hong said coldly, Chen Mo, this has nothing to do with you. Jiuying Hong, we are not in the dungeon now, and Angshan Academy is not named Jiuying. As long as I'm the captain, everything you do is related to me. I now order you to return to the team and don't do anything unnecessary. Jiuying Hong ignored the captain's words, turned off the team communication, and said coldly, Chen, you are a commoner, and you are not qualified to point fingers at me. If the teacher hadn't lost his mind and let you be the captain, are you qualified to order me? In another corner of the forbidden area, in a dark mecha, Chen Mo, the captain of Angshan Academy, snorted. That bastard actually turned off the team communication. Another student said in the communication, the Jiuying family is also one of the largest families in Qingmu City, but Jiuying Hong is not ranked among his brothers and sisters. But this guy is very ambitious. He wants to unite with the Han family by pursuing Han Nap and force his family to put his name on the list of heirs. Another student said, on the day of the dinner, he saw Han Nap inviting Luo Yan, and he almost bit his teeth. Hannah has always ignored him, and suddenly she chatted up a freshman from another college. If I were Jiuying Hong, I would be anxious. It's not difficult to understand why he did that just now. Chen Mo said in a deep voice, that kid will probably cause trouble for us. Let Xiaowen and the others prepare to replace Jiang Hang at any time. On the other side, in the forbidden area, Jiang Hang didn't know that his teammates had secretly prepared something. He saw Luo Yan leave in disgrace, and he felt relieved. He would never allow anyone to ruin his plan. Just like those classmates said, he is very ambitious and wants to inherit the Jiang family. But he didn't have the qualifications, for a simple reason. His biological mother was not his original wife. He was an illegitimate child. Although he was taken back to the Jiang family after his mother died, he was always looked down upon by his other brothers and sisters. So Jiang Hang vowed to marry Han Na and then unite with the Han family to make his name appear on the list of heirs! A mere person from the foot of the mountain is worthy of fighting me? Jiang Hang shook his head and laughed, completely forgetting that he himself had lived under the mountain. He continued to drive the mecha to hunt in the forbidden area, and before long, he found a giant beast. This giant beast, which was shaped like an elephant and had scales, was completely unaware of his approach. But just as Jiang Hang was about to make a move, a breath suddenly rushed into the sky. Then, a light like smoke and haze rushed forward at a high speed, like a long red rainbow hanging between the forests. In an instant, it passed the scaly elephant. The scaly elephant froze for a moment, and then its body split to the left and right, and the huge elephant body fell to the ground with a plop. Then blood and internal organs rushed out of the body, soaking the forest. Jiang Hang was stunned. What happened? Who stole my beast? At this moment, a message was updated on the screen of the command console. 100 Battles Academy, points plus 800 Battles Academy. Jiang Hang immediately understood what was going on. Luo Yan. It must be Luo Yan who stole and killed his beast! He turned on the mecha's external speaker and shouted, Luo Yan, you dare to steal my prey. At this time, Luo Yan's voice rang out in the jungle. Did you make a move? Jiang Hang was speechless. He just set his sights on this prey, but before he could make a move, Luo Yan stole and killed it. So strictly speaking, this was not his prey. Moreover, he had just done the same thing to Luo Yan not long ago. If he insisted that this was his prey, he would be slapping himself in the face. Jiang Hang snorted and drove away in the mecha. In the blink of an eye, it was afternoon. This time he found a two-headed snake. The beast was entrenched in a patch of grass, devouring some animals that it had driven there. As soon as Jiang Hang spotted the two-headed snake, he rushed over immediately. At this moment, a light curtain passed through the panoramic window. Then, in front of him, the two-headed snake was cut in half. Chapter 488, Face-to-Face Attack. Once again, he was killed by Luo Yan right in front of him. Jiang Hang was so angry that his eyes were bloodshot. He turned on the speaker and shouted, Luo Yan, don't go too far. What's the point of killing my prey? If you have the ability, come out and we'll decide the winner in a fight. His voice echoed in the surrounding jungle, but there was no response. Jiang Hang's chest rose and fell, and the mecha drew out the long sword and chopped the surrounding trees into pieces. After venting his anger, he left. In the next 2 days, any prey that Jiang Hang targeted would be taken away by Luo Yan before he had time to take action. Luo Yan used one belt long rainbow every time. This unique skill is fast and powerful. It can snipe prey within 1,000 meters. In the past 2 days, Jiang Hang has lost count of how many times his prey was killed by Luo Yan right in front of him. And for his unique skill to be effective, he must keep a distance of at least 500 meters. In this case, how could they beat Luo Yan? Jiang Hang was anxious and angry, but he couldn't do anything about Luo Yan. At noon that day, he saw another giant beast being killed by Jiang Hang. Jiang Hang roared to the sky, controlled the mecha, and quickly rushed to the source of Jiang Hang. But when he arrived, there was no sign of Bian. Jiang Hang was so angry that he took out his anger on the surrounding trees. After calming down, he opened the communication channel and called his teammates. Chen Mo, Captain, I'm Jiang Hang, do you hear me? After a while, Chen Mo's cold voice sounded, what's the matter? Captain, Luo Yan has been targeting me. He has been stealing my prey these 2 days. In this way, I can't get any points at all. Look, can you let Feng Hao come to help me? He doesn't have to do anything, just find Luo Yan for me. The next thing is my job. Jiang Hong said quickly. Of course, I won't let him help in vain. Afterwards, I will thank him very much. There was silence in the communication channel for a while, and then Chen Mo said, Jiang Hong, this is impossible. We only had 5 mechs. You disobeyed orders and acted on your own. Now you want to transfer Feng Hao away. If we encounter a higher level beast, it will be very troublesome with only 2 mechs left, Xiao Zeng and I. Jiang Hong suppressed his anger and said, Captain, even in the danger zone, you can't just run into a higher level beast. Look, I've been hunting for a few days, and there's no trace of a higher level beast. Besides, even if you encounter one, and you can't beat it, retreating shouldn't be a problem, right? Lend me Feng Hao for 2 days. No, 1 day will be enough. Chen Mo didn't hesitate this time, and said directly, I still don't agree. Jiang Hong, either come back and act with us, or solve it yourself. After that, the communication was interrupted. Jiang Hong roared immediately, Chen Mo, you bastard. You are taking revenge on your own. Calling you captain is giving you face, right? Do you really think you are the captain? Just wait, I can still deal with that Luo guy without you. I'll settle this account with you after I get back. Jiang Hong was in a very bad mood when Luo Yan attacked him, and his request for help from his team was rejected. But he was able to get the resources of the Jiuying family and become a top student of Angshan College, so he was not an ordinary person. After restraining his anger and calming down, Jiang Hong began to plan how to deal with Luo Yan. At this time, 2 kilometers away from Jiang Hong, in a small valley, Luo Yan was resting by the river. In the past 2 days, he chased Jiang Hong and followed Jiang wherever he went. Every time Jiang Hong found a giant beast, Luo Yan would use a belt of long rainbow to kill it. He has mastered this unique skill to perfection. It can be said that, unless it is a high-level giant beast, other giant beasts will have no chance of survival under his sword rainbow. He is not afraid of offending Jiang Hong, not afraid of offending the Jiuying family, and must not cause displeasure to Angshan College. Anyway, Jiang Hong has crossed the line. Luo Yan will make him suffer enough. After washing his face with river water, Luo Yan heard intermittent crying from the shadows of the jungle on the other side of the river. He frowned, although he could use the incomplete transformation into a dragon posture to dilute the impact of the crying in the forbidden area on him. But after all, he can't always maintain this state, otherwise he will be affected by the evil thoughts of the dragon blood essence, even if he is not affected by the sad emotions and the crying. In the dangerous area of the forbidden area, wearing headphones alone is not enough to completely block the crying. In this way, it will be very dangerous to be active in the dangerous area for a long time. Luo Yan immediately made up his mind to harass Jiang Hong for another day today, and then return to the safe area to spend the night. The night cannot be spent in the dangerous area. At this time, he heard the roar of a giant beast in the distance. Luo Yan stood up, put on his helmet, and returned to the cockpit of the Bion. After turning on the stealth function of the supercore matrix, Luo Yan used the secret method Ki Owlin, and then moved forward silently. In the giant beast radar, the spectrum signal of mid-level giant beast kept flashing. Luo Yan turned on Wu Wang Zuan and looked out through the panoramic window. He soon saw the biological grey light of the giant beast. In the other direction of the giant beast, he saw Jiang Hong approaching cautiously. Luo Yan made preparations skillfully, and when the mecha and the giant beast kept a distance of about a kilometer, Ki Owlin switched to Ki Yunlin. Yuanli burst out, and the unique skills were used. A red rainbow crossed the jungle, leaving a red mark in the green dense forest. The giant beast in the distance didn't even have time to react, and was killed by Luo Yan with a sword. But when Luo Yan exploded, Jiang Hong on the other side of the giant beast sprinted with all his strength. He didn't know what secret method he used. His speed increased, his movements were as fast as ghosts, and he was more than 100 meters away in a flash. From Luo Yan's burst to killing the giant beast, no matter how fast it was, it took a breath. But in just such a breath, Jiang Hong's mecha with a sword box on its back and a flowing shape rushed to a position about 500 meters away from Bion. In the cab, Jiuying Hang's expression was slightly distorted, and he laughed. I still can't catch you this time. He immediately used his unique skills. He pointed his long sword at Bayan, and sword shadows flew out. Those sword shadows were all bronze long swords surrounded by green light, dragging out green rainbows. Some stabbed straight, some chopped, and some swept. There were all kinds of changes. Attacking Bayan, Luo Yan was a little surprised, but not panicked. The magic level shield Zuanwu was raised forward, and 36 layers of invisible barriers were unfolded. Immediately, the green rainbow danced, shattering the barriers one by one, but it didn't even touch the shield. At this time, Jiuying Hang activated his skills and struck with his sword, destroying 7 layers of barriers. Then he let the flying sword shadows converge on the long sword, and the long sword in the mech's hand suddenly burst into a dazzling green light, pointing directly at the head of the Bayan. Chapter 489, Points Deduction for Retirement. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded above the two mechs. This is the judges of the sports meeting. Jiuying Hang, Luo Yan. 2 students, please separate immediately. The sword pointed at the head of Bayan stopped halfway. Jiuying Hang looked up and saw a drone in the sky above the forbidden area. The voice came from the drone. 2 students, we have learned about your affairs. Originally, the judges will not interfere in matters like this. But if you continue like this, I'm afraid both of you will suffer. You are both excellent students. We can't just watch you get hurt and do nothing. So the judges have decided that the matter between you two ends here. Student Luo Yan, please leave this area and don't harass student Jiuying Hang anymore. Student Jiuying Hang, this matter was caused by you. I hope you will remember the lesson and never do it again. Jiuying Hang immediately turned on the sound speaker and shouted, this is unfair. How many points did Luo take from me in the past 2 days? Now I finally caught him, and you just want to brush this matter off with a casual that's it? I disagree. The voice in the drone sounded again. Jiuying Hang, this is a competition. The judges have the right to make all kinds of decisions. If you are not convinced, you can ask Jiuying College to complain later. But now, you must obey orders. Jiuying Hang raised his sword and pointed at the drone above. Complain? Wait until the college complains. It will be too late. This Luo guy's arrogant and doesn't take me seriously. If I don't teach him a lesson today, I will become a joke when I return to Kingmu one day. The voice of an unknown judge sounded in the drone again. And this time, the voice was obviously angry. Jiuying Hang, you have violated the rules of the competition. I hereby declare, you are disqualified from the competition. We will notify Jiuying College and ask them to send other mechs to replace you. Then the voice said gently, student Luo Yan, please leave. Luo Yan nodded, turned around and drove the Bayan towards the safe zone. In the cab, Jiuying Hang's mind was full of the words disqualified from the competition. No, I can't be disqualified from the competition. If I withdraw from the competition at this time, Hannah will look down on me. In that case, I will never be able to enter the list of heirs of the Jiuying family. Luo Yan, you dare to cause me to be banned from the competition. Exclamation mark. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Jiuying Hang was furious, and with the worry of his future being ruined, he burst out with his Yuan power. The long sword in his hand burst into green light, and he was about to pounce on Luo Yan. At this moment, the empathy between him and the mecha was suddenly interrupted. The computer showed a prompt that the empathy system was forcibly disconnected. While walking, Luo Yan glanced back in the cab. He secretly said what a pity. Then he quietly removed the defensive barrier that the Zuanwu had protected behind him and left quickly. A moment later, all the students who participated in the test received the message from the judges. Jiuying College, Jiuying Hang, a sophomore, has repeatedly violated the rules of the conference and ignored the decisions of the judges. He tried to use his unique skills on other students. Therefore, after a unanimous decision by the judges, Jiuying Hang was given a disciplinary action of withdrawal. And, all the points Jiuying Hang scored in the actual combat in the forbidden area were deducted. Immediately, as soon as this news came out, it caused an uproar. Withdrawal and deduction of points. My goodness, has Jiuying Hang offended the judges? And the kind of offense to death. This is a headache for Jiuying College. Not only did they lose a top student, but they also had to give up Jiuying Hang's previous points. Angshan College has suffered a great loss. Now, Angshan's ranking has dropped. Angshan College. Captain Chen Mo covered his face and said nothing, but the team's communication channel was in an uproar. What is this Jiuying guy doing? He just wanted to take Feng Hao away, but now he has forced himself to withdraw from the competition. Is he crazy? The judges have mediated, but he still used his unique skills on Luo Yan. He thinks he is not a big enough problem, right? No, this guy's asking for death. Stay away from him, and don't drag others down. Now even our total score has been deducted. Captain, what should we do now? Chen Mo sighed and said, let's go. It's getting dark. Let's go back to the supply point first. After adding a team member tomorrow, we will enter the danger zone to hunt. As for Jiuying Hang's matter, don't discuss it after you return to the camp. Jiuying Hang has serious psychological defects because of his childhood experiences. The teacher told me that if his father hadn't invested a lot of money in the academy, he would not have been allowed to participate in the competition, no matter how strong he was. Now that something like this has happened, he will definitely find someone to vent his anger on. Don't give him the chance. The Jiuying family is well known in the underground city, only slightly inferior to the Han family. We can't afford to offend them. The matter of Jiuying Hang. Today was a big event, but the actual combat in the forbidden area was still going on, and the students were all focused on the competition. So after a day or two, no one remembered it. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. The competition had come to an end. At this point, it was difficult for the rankings of the various colleges to change significantly. After all, there were only a limited number of giant beasts in a forbidden area, and the Yanfu space had not been opened recently, so no new giant beasts had been released. Therefore, the number of giant beasts in the forbidden area was one less each time they were killed. Thanks to Luo Yan's previous solo hunting in the danger zone, Beijing College is currently ranked 4th, second only to Xianan, Yujing and Angshan colleges. It is not difficult to see from here that in the actual combat in the forbidden area, no matter how strong Luo Yan is, it is difficult to change the natural gap between colleges. It is not easy to overpower Yishu College. Among the 3 colleges in Xianan College naturally performed the best. Their 5 main battle mechs entered the danger zone and hunted separately since the second day of the forbidden combat. Therefore, the scores rose rapidly. Because of Jiuying Hang, Angshan College's points once fell out of the top 3, but then Chen Mo added team members and accelerated the hunting speed, so the points rose steadily. That day, Luo Yan went deep into the forbidden area and planned to venture close to the core area. Now there might be mid-level behemoths that can be hunted only at the edge of the core area. At this moment, when the mid-level behemoths have been greatly reduced, each team has already set its sights on the lower level ones that they had previously disdained to waste time on. Even so, it is difficult for the points to change significantly. That's why Luo Yan did this. He set up many traps along the way and planned a retreat route. Once things are impossible, leave this area immediately. When you come to the vicinity of the core area, the cries are more and more intensive. If you stay here for a long time, even the most cheerful people will become depressed. Luo Yan does not plan to spend the night here. If you don't get anything before sunset, you will leave immediately. Bayan disappeared and walked between the mountains and forests like a ghost. Suddenly Luo Yan stopped. He always turned on the Wuwang burning eyes and saw a human-shaped grey light moving in the mountains and forests 1 or 2 kilometers ahead. It seems that there is a group of gold diggers in the forbidden area. But there are almost no gold diggers in the Valley of Sorrow, let alone coming to such a deep place. But if they are not gold diggers, who are they? Chapter 490, Black Witch, Jumang Tribe. At this moment, the trees in the distant forests swayed, and the treetops shook with green waves. Not long after, a mecha appeared in Luo Yan's field of vision. The mecha walked in the sea of trees. The tallest tree in the Valley of Sorrow was only about 40 meters, and it only reached the waist of the mecha. The mecha was covered with a huge camouflaged waterproof cloth with many leaves and branches stuck on it. If it squatted in the sea of trees and turned on the anti-mecha radar jammer, it would be difficult to find it from a distance. And there were not just one mecha. But 4. Bayan did not move, and Luo Yan turned on the anti-mecha radar jammer in the cab and remained invisible. Even if the mecha master on the opposite side looked over, he would not notice it. Luo Yan looked into the cab of the mecha, stared at the mecha master, and read the other party's information. Sun Ning, 32 years old, captain of the 4th team of the Black Witch Jiuying department. Realm, advanced level 2. Luo Yan's pupils dilated slightly. Black Witch's people. Jiuying, from other branches. Luo Yan looked at the other mechas again. Zhangzu, 35 years old, captain of the 6th team of the Black Witch Jiuying. Realm, advanced level 3. Wang Heo, 29 years old, elite of the 4th team of the Black Witch Jiuying. Realm, intermediate level 5. Jiuying, 33 years old, elite of the 6th team of the Black Witch Jiuying. Realm, intermediate level great perfection. 2 captains, 2 elites. Then, the team in front, must also be Black Witch's people. What are the 2 teams of the Black Witch Jiuying doing here? Luo Yan immediately used the camera of the mecha to record this scene, and after those mechas and personnel went away, Luo Yan sent the footage he had taken to the judges of the conference. Not long after, a voice rang out on the communication channel in the cab. Student Luo, I'm Jiuying, the leader of the Jinja City Mecha Corps. Student Luo, I'm using encrypted communications now. You can rest assured. Only the 2 of us will know about the conversation that follows. Luo Yan said, okay. Jiuying said directly, Student Luo, I saw your current location. You are already quite close to the core area. Luo Yan nodded, yes. Jiuying said in a deep voice, for some reasons, the Valley of Sorrow is not open to the public, so the people you saw are definitely not gold diggers. Luo Yan only sent back the picture, but did not report the matter of the Black Witch, which would have exposed the secret of his innocent burning eyes. But he believed that this picture was enough to attract the attention of Jinja City, and there would be some speculation. As expected, Jiuying continued, before this, the Black Witch organization had a precedent of activities in the forbidden area. So I suspect that these people and mechas you saw are likely to belong to the Black Witch organization. I know that you have infiltrated the Black Witch organization. Now, I hope you can find a way to figure it out. What are those people doing in the forbidden area? I will have someone secretly go to the forbidden area to meet you. If you find something wrong, evacuate immediately. We will ensure your safety. Luo Yan was willing to do this, but he was still participating in the actual combat in the forbidden area. If he left like this, what would happen to the points of the academy? At this time, Jiuying said, as for the points of the academy, I have seen your record. Your average daily score is about 20 to 40. When you perform this task, I will ask the organizer to give Basin Academy extra points according to this average. In this case, you should be relieved, right? Seeing that Jiuying had even taken this into consideration, Luo Yan no longer hesitated. Okay, I'll set off now. Since he was going to gather intelligence, it was naturally inappropriate to drive a mecha. Luo Yan found a hidden place, hid Bayan, and then sneaked into the forest. After leaving the mecha, the crying in the depths of the forbidden area was everywhere. Luo Yan let a few dragon scales rise on his back, and used the evil thoughts naturally emitted by the dragon blood essence, to dispel the influence of the crying on him. Using the secret method opening the ghost wheel, Luo Yan chased the members of the Black Witch in front like a ghost. This was the first time he ran into members of other branches, after joining the Black Witch. Within the Black Witch, the various branches had almost no intersection, and it seemed that only the ministers would contact other branches. So until now, Luo Yan didn't know the situation of other branches of the Black Witch. This kind of split management method is obviously to keep the orders within the organization as confidential as possible. Even if the captain level people fall into the hands of the enemy, they can't get useful information. So even Luo Yan, the captain of the 7th team of the Jiuying department, didn't know that the Jiuying department was active here, not to mention knowing their mission. At noon, the Jiuying department stopped to rest and built a simple temporary camp. Several mechas were scattered around, which could conceal the existence of the camp and monitor the surrounding area from a high position. Luo Yan hid in a bush, motionless. He dared not approach the camp, fearing that the driver of the mecha would notice him. In this case, either someone left the camp or he would have to wait until night to find an opportunity to sneak into the camp. From here, you can hear the sound of people coming from the direction of the camp, but the voices were not loud and the number was not large. It can be seen that the people of the Jiuying tribe hardly talked. At this time, several people left the camp and came to the nearby bushes. After a while, there was a sound of water. It turned out that they were urinating. Luo Yan looked at a mecha not far ahead, and the Wuang Zuan was turned on, and he saw the mecha master inside was having a meal. So he went around the mecha master's blind spot and then touched the people who left the camp. Under the vision of Wuang Zuan, the information of those people immediately jumped into Luo Yan's eyes. Zhao Tong, Li Yao, Shen Yi. They are all ordinary members of the two teams of Jiuying, with combat power between the second and fourth levels of the primary level. At this time, Zhao Tong and Li Yao had already taken care of their physiological needs and turned back. When Shen Yi was pulling up his pants, he suddenly felt a shock behind his head and lost consciousness. Zhao and Li, wearing camouflage cloaks, hoods pulled up, and masks, looked back at this time. So slow, this Shen is said to have some nepotism with the minister. No wonder he always ignores everyone along the way. Even when the two captains talked to him, he just said a few HMM, and dealt with it. There's nothing I can do. Who told you that you are not a relative of the minister? Don't say it, he's back. When the two saw Shen Yi coming back, they shut up and walked into the camp. What they didn't know was that this Shen Yi had been replaced long ago. Under the cloak and mask was Luo Yan, who was still wearing a driving suit. Luo Yan looked at the camp through the mask and suddenly froze. He saw the two people in front of him taking some colorful costumes out of a box and hanging them in the sun. What on earth is this Jiuying tribe doing? Why did they bring costumes to the Valley of Sorrow? Suddenly, Luo Yan was a little confused and felt it was ridiculous. P.S. I have something to do today, so I can only update one chapter. Chapter 491, Singing to the Ghosts. Shen Yi, don't just stand there, help me. Zhao Tong and Li Yao shouted in front, and then walked towards a box. Luo Yan lowered his head and followed them. Li Yao looked back, then pointed to another box next to him. Go take out the things in there, and let them dry in the Sunday. Luo Yan turned around, and walked to the box next to him, opened it, and found some costume accessories inside. He heard Li Yao whispered, you have a bad temper, and are not smart. If you don't have some connections, you would have been kicked out long ago. Zhao Tong next to him said, don't talk about it, let's work. They took out the costumes and various accessories from the box, and put them in the sun to dry. The sunlight in the forbidden area is almost temperatureless. It looks bright, but it is cold in the forbidden area. These things are not very useful in the sun, at best they can ventilate. Looking at the costumes, Luo Yan remembered that the forbidden area would occasionally hear opera at night. Before, he thought that he either heard it wrong, or it was some kind of weird phenomenon. But now it seems that it is the people of Jiuying who are performing in the forbidden area. Luo Yan wanted to ask someone, but he didn't do so. He sat aside quietly and observed the people in the camp. At the same time, he opened the Wuang Zuan to read the thoughts of these people. Unfortunately, most people's thoughts were disorganized, and Luo Yan failed to find any valuable information. He then thought of the body named Shen Yi. After killing the man just now, he took Shen Yi's belongings and was worried about being discovered, so he dealt with the body. But because of the rush of time, it was not handled perfectly, and Luo Yan was still a little worried that he would be discovered. At this time, he heard Li Yao whispered not far away, I hope to go back soon. This ghost place is really terrible. I heard from the captain yesterday that the machine is ready, so it should be done in 1 or 2 days. Zhao Tong sat cross-legged on the grass and said in a low voice, we are actually fine. We just move things every day. Li Yao threw a small stone in front of him. Old Zeng and his men are the worst. Every now and then, they have to sing for their minions at night. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to sing, and it would even be a problem if I could speak. Luo Yan wanted to hear more from them, so that he could sort out the clues, but at this time, someone shouted in a deep voice, we have rested enough, let's get going. Luo Yan looked up and saw a man without a cloak. The man's left eye was grey and white, and it looked like that eye was dead. He had short hair less than 1 centimeter long, and his whole body exuded a fierce aura. Above his head, Luo Yan quietly opened his eyes and saw the information of Zhang Zhu, 35 years old, captain of the 6th team of the Black Witch Jiuying department. Then he saw the captain's voice. It has been almost 2 weeks. Taking advantage of the chaos of the actual combat personnel in the forbidden area of the grand sports meeting, I successfully concealed the eyes and ears of Jinjia City and sneaked in. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In order to create time to assemble the machine, we almost broke our legs. Every time we have to take a long detour and then perform a play for the ghosts in the middle of the night. This life is really hard. Before Luo Yan could read more of the sound, Zhang Zhu had already walked away, and then the mecha started. Li Yao and Zhao Tong hurriedly put the things they had just taken out back into the box. Seeing that Luo Yan did not move, Li Yao could not help but shout, "Shen Yi, are you deaf? Didn't you hear what Captain Zhang said? Pack up and leave quickly. Really, you are so stupid." Luo Yan stood up silently, and while packing up his things, he sorted out some clues in his mind. The Black Witch Jiuying tribe took advantage of the opportunity of a large number of people pouring into the forbidden area during the big sports meeting. They concealed the opportunity and sneaked in from the eyes and ears of Jinj City. They were assembling some kind of machine in the forbidden area. For some reason, they were divided into 2 teams. One team assembled the machine in the forbidden area. The other team wandered around the forbidden area, and every few days, they sang operas for the ghosts in the middle of the night. Strange, why do they have to sing operas for the ghosts? Why would those things be interested in operas? The ghosts are Aoyi's eyes and ears. Could it be that the Jiuying tribe really wants to attract the overlord beast Aoyi? After packing up the things, the 2 teams began to divide the work. 2 people in a group, and work together to carry the box in the forbidden area. In this way, an afternoon passed. When it was evening, they came to an open space. There was a strange machine here in the open space. It looked like a large bellows, but there was a pipe connected to the bellows, so it looked like a vacuum cleaner overall. Some people were debugging this large vacuum cleaner, and some people were camouflaging the machine. After Luo Yan and his team stopped, they were asked to start building a simple stage on the other side of the open space. While knocking and banging, Luo Yan saw Zhang Zhu, the captain of Jiuying Team 6, coming over, reminding everyone, "Tonight should be our last performance. After tonight, we will be done, and we can withdraw from the forbidden area. Everyone cheer up. Remember, when the minions come out at night, just turn a deaf ear to them. Don't talk after the sun goes down. Don't say a word." At this time, another captain came and called Zhang Zhu. The 2 seemed to be communicating something, with serious eyes. After a while, Zhang Zhu came over. "Stop, everyone come to the open space together." So Luo Yan followed the others to the open space, and asked to sit cross-legged. Then, a team of fully armed soldiers asked Zhang Zhu to come over, and distribute around the crowd. There was a vague feeling of surrounding the crowd. Then Zhang Zhu said in a deep voice, "It seems that a rat has sneaked into our midst. Captain Sunning just told me that someone found a body near the camp where we rested at noon." Luo Yan looked at the ground with his eyes slightly widened. Then Zhang Zhu said, "The body is unrecognizable and even incomplete. There is nothing on it to identify its identity. The estimated time of death is noon. I just counted the team and found that no one is missing. In other words, someone has sneaked into our team. I know that the rat will not expose itself. Then now, take off your cloaks and masks. Let me see what the rat looks like." Luo Yan clenched his hand slightly in his cloak, and then calmly thought about countermeasures. At this time, Li Yao and others let out a light cry, and then they took off their cloaks and masks. Zhang Zhu took a computer and compared it with the photos of the people on it, carefully identifying them one by one. Soon, his eyes fell on Luo Yan. Why don't you take off your cloak?" Chapter 490 To the Blame. Suddenly, a lot of eyes looked at Luo Yan. Luo Yan's eyes were cold, and he was about to burst out his energy and break out. But at this moment, a figure suddenly flashed away from the crowd. He broke away from the crowd and quickly rushed to the fully armed soldiers on the periphery. Those soldiers immediately raised their guns and were about to shoot, but the figure suddenly threw out several grenades from his cloak. So the soldiers in front saw this and hurriedly separated to both sides to avoid the grenades. Boom. The grenades exploded and several fireballs rose up, blowing up the grass and trees. At this moment, Zhang Zu roared and rushed over, and his speed was not slow. The captain used his skills, and suddenly a shrill sound rang out in the open space. Groups of illusory black smoke emerged and rose from around Zhang Zu, and hideous skulls appeared in the black smoke. The sharp sound came from these skulls. Zhang Zu chased after the escapee and pressed his palm, and several black smoke flew away immediately. As the black smoke flew, the shadows twisted and changed under the skulls. They formed black bodies, just like black warriors. The black warriors were as light as smoke and caught up with the escapees in a flash. They swung the long sword formed by the black smoke. They slashed at the escapees. The escapees also burst out a burst of Yuanli, which condensed into the phantom of a white shark in the light. He pushed his palms to both sides, spreading a tide of Yuanli. As the Yuanli tide spread, the figures of many sea creatures were vaguely visible. The Yuanli tide washed over the black warriors, and many sea creatures in the tide bit the black warriors. These warriors formed by the black smoke quickly became incomplete and disappeared. But during this delay, Zhang Zu had already caught up and punched the escapees in the back. Several black shadows with white skulls floating on them entangled in Zhang Zu's arms, merging and condensing into a huge white skull phantom that crashed into the target. The escapee barely dodged to the side, but was still brushed by the skull. His cloak was shattered, and the clothes inside were also shattered, and then several blood arrows splashed. Zhang Zu circled his palms, as if holding take-eye, and pushed the escapee again. The huge skull split into countless tiny black smoke, and the black smoke immediately went in and out of the escapee's body. Like a series of black strange insects, it immediately drilled holes in the escapee's body. The escapee screamed, and blood mist burst out of his body. He was not dead yet, and he slapped Zhang Zu with all his strength. A wave of Yuanli was raised, carrying countless phantoms of sea creatures, and slapping Zhang Zu. Zhang Zu had no expression on his face, and his grey eyes were filled with a strong sense of death. He clenched his fist and blasted. The black aura on his body suddenly turned into black warriors, crashing into the Yuanli wave to kill. The wave and the sea creatures inside were torn into pieces. Zhang Zu rushed forward at this time, and rushed in front of the escapee, slapping him with both hands. Every time he was hit, a black breath would spurt out from behind the escapee. After being hit by Zhang Zu 4 dozens of times, the escapee's joints were shattered, and he was carried by Zhang Zu. He took off his mask. The moment the mask was knocked off, a stream of green water spurted out of the escapee's mouth. Zhang Zu's pupils shrank, and he tilted his head to the side, letting the green water pass by and fall to the ground. Suddenly, the grass and trees on the ground sizzled and rotted instantly, and extremely unpleasant yellow smoke rose. The escapee's mouth and tongue also rotted rapidly, and in less than 2 seconds, he died with foam at the mouth. Zhang Zu snorted and threw the body on the ground. After checking it, he got something. He didn't say anything, but Luo Yan read the information of Huanquan organization in his voice. It turned out that the escapee was from Huanquan, and he didn't know how he got in. Zhang Zu just said that the body found at noon must be Shenyi. Originally, he should have been the one exposed, but he didn't expect that a member of Huanquan had mixed into this team. As a result, the member of Huanquan was worried about being exposed, so he took the blame for Luo Yan. Since he had found the member of Huanquan, Zhang Zu did not check again. First, he thought there would not be a second rat. Second, it was already late. So after taking away the bodies of the members of Huanquan, Luo Yan and his people hurried to set up the stage. When Luo Yan moved the tables, chairs, and benches to the open space, it was already dark. As soon as it got dark, the crying in the forbidden area became louder and more frequent. At this time, Zhang Zu and another captain came out with several incense burners and distributed them around the venue and on the stage. Luo Yan took a breath of the smoke from the incense burner and immediately felt refreshed. It was as if a fresh breath was entering and exiting his 7 orifices. The whole person was extremely refreshed, and the shrill crying and the strange power that affected the mind and the sound were greatly weakened. Luo Yang couldn't help but look at the incense burners, thinking that it was no wonder that the Black Witch dared to walk in the forbidden area. These people really have some skills. Zhao Tong, Li Yao and others also arranged tables and chairs in the open space. They took out foldable or assembled tables and chairs from big boxes, opened them, and placed them on the open space. At this time, Zhao Tong heard Li Yao next to him seem to ask, "Are you done?" Zhao Tong almost answered, but the word came to his lips and was swallowed back. He suddenly looked at Li Yao next to him and saw that Li Yao was assembling a table with his back to him. But on Li Yao's back, a pale face, dark green eyes, blood red lips, and blush on the cheeks appeared. Then the face completely emerged from Li Yao's back, and the figure was illusory and dim, and walked towards Zhao Tong. "When you are done, let's go out and play. I told my mother that I won't go home tonight. What time does the movie you booked start?" The accomplices. These things are coming. Zhao Tong turned around quickly, and suddenly he saw an old man in his 60s or 70s sitting on a chair that he had just placed in front of him. The old man opened his mouth, revealing a mouth with almost no teeth. "Why haven't you started singing yet? Young man, let me ask you what play we are singing tonight. Is there Shajia Bang? Otherwise, taking Tiger Mountain by strategy will also do." Pale and illusory figures appeared one after another on the open ground. The ghosts arrived as promised after the night fell. They asked one question after another, and then their heads started to turn like clockwork toys. So in addition to the crying, there were also bursts of clicking sounds in the forbidden area. Luo Yan looked at a young ghost in front of him with an expressionless face, and kept asking him if he had seen her fiancé. After Luo Yan did not respond, the young ghost disappeared. At this time, the lights on the stage came on. Luo Yan looked back and saw that the Black Witch members who were responsible for playing music were already in place. On the stage, several actors who were going to sing tonight were practicing their voices. Luo Yan looked at the strange machine that had been disguised at the back, thinking that he would know what the Black Witches were going to do tonight. Chapter 493, Soul Stealer. Dang dang clang. The play begins. On the crude stage that was built in the evening, an actor with a strange appearance came out, turned around the stage in a formal manner, and started singing. "The old minister and the lord will start from the beginning." Liu Bei was originally the descendant of King Jing of Zongshan. The Han Emperor is from the same lineage. He has a second brother, the Marquis of Han, shouting. The Azure Dragon and the Crescent Moon God and Ghost cut off Sorrow, beheaded Yan Liang in front of Bama Slope, and killed Wen Chao and Yanjin. Old Ke Yang's head was also cut off in the ancient city. A song from Ganlu Temple was sung on the stage. At first, the nearby ghosts still came and went, asking questions to the air, the flowers and plants, and the people nearby. But after a while, they seemed to be attracted by the stage, and gradually stopped asking questions, and stopped flickering and leaving. One after another, illusory and dim figures began to appear on the tables and chairs in front of the stage. They began to appear on the stage, on the open space, between the flowers and plants, or on the trees. There were more and more ghosts, as if all the ghosts in the forbidden area were attracted by the big show on the stage. The strangers on the stage performed. The ghosts under the stage listened to the show. The atmosphere was weird, and even Zhang Zhu, the captain, was now on edge. Luo Yan, Li Yao and others hid behind the stage. From the back, there were already hundreds of ghosts on the open space in front of the stage. They were so dense that the open space seemed to have turned into a white ocean. Then, these ghosts seemed to overlap unconsciously, and gradually, they turned into a white giant bull as majestic as a mountain. This bull had 4 horns, thick and long hair, and 4 hooves stepped on the flames. It was the overlord beast, Aoyi. But at this time, Aoyi's figure was illusory, as if the beast's soul had left its body and came to the stage. Luo Yang quietly opened the Wu-Wang blazing eyes and looked around. Although the people around him were speechless, their hearts were stirred. Oh my god, from such a close distance, this overlord beast is too scary. What is going on with this thing? Why did the ghost merge into Aoyi? May the great god Mei Bei protect you. May the great god Mei Bei protect you. I have to sing another night of drama. How can I endure this? When Luo Yan looked at the captain Zhang Zhu, the captain's voice appeared in Luo Yan's vision in huge words. It should be done tonight. Drive Hiyu is really a god. As he said, at night, Aoyi dispersed his beast soul into the ghosts. This makes these ghosts become its eyes and ears. In this way, Aoyi's eyes and ears are all over the forbidden area. It can detect what is happening in the forbidden area more quickly, but it also provides us with an opportunity to steal its beast soul. Luo Yan's body shook slightly. The Black Witch actually wants to steal the beast soul? Is this possible? Suddenly, Luo Yan remembered the machine that looked like a vacuum cleaner on the open ground. He hurriedly looked at Zhang Zhu and continued to read the thoughts of the Black Witch captain. Drive Hiyu is worthy of being a senior technical developer of the former strategic palace. He actually found a way to absorb and preserve the beast soul from some materials unearthed in Gixu. Although I don't understand the theory that beast soul is also energy, and energy can be absorbed and transferred after collapse and splitting. However, as long as we successfully absorb and transfer Aoyi's beast soul today, we will have made a great contribution. Next, Zhang Zhu's thoughts became scattered. Luo Yan did not continue to read, but the information he just saw was enough for him to understand what was going on. Hiyu, a senior technical developer of the former giant beast strategic palace, joined the Black Witch and provided the technology to steal the beast soul. That technology should be used on the machine in the open space, but that technology is definitely not perfect, and the successful implementation should also be related to Aoyi's habits. Aoyi's habits include spreading the beast soul into the ghosts at night to obtain more convenient information feedback. Another habit is to listen to operas, although it is not clear how the Black Witch discovered this habit of the giant beast. But there is no doubt that they know Aoyi better than the giant beast strategic office in Jinjia City. I'm afraid that this matter is also related to Dr. Hiyu. Luo Yan quietly took out his mobile phone in his cloak and wanted to send a message to Jinbao City. Suddenly, he felt that someone was looking at him. Luo Yan looked and found that it was Li Yao. Li Yao also had a pair of red eyes in the mask, but the color was not as rich as Luo Yan's, and the range was only the edge. It can be seen that Li Yao is not a resident of the underground city. Like Luo Yan, he should have struggled to survive on the surface and then joined the Black Witch because of various opportunities. In fact, most of the members of the Black Witch here have been infected with red poison. Even if the red poison is cured, the eyeballs have been affected, and the sequelae of red eyes will be left permanently. However, it is because of this that Luo Yan was not noticed when he sneaked in here. At this time, Li Yao made a gesture, asking Luo Yan to put away his mobile phone. The look in his eyes seemed to blame Luo Yan for taking out his mobile phone for entertainment at this time. Luo Yan put away his mobile phone silently and thought about it. In this situation, even if the Black Witch steals Aoyi's beast soul, it doesn't seem to be a bad thing. Without the beast soul, Aoyi will definitely be affected, and maybe the dungeon can take the opportunity to kill it. As for the Black Witch, they will definitely move after stealing the beast soul, and this place is deep in the forbidden area. It will take more than 1 or 2 days to leave, as long as I secretly notify Jinj City during this process. Let the dungeon troops intercept. Thinking of this, Luo Yan temporarily gave up the idea of sending a message. On the stage, one actor after another took turns to go on stage. It seems that they will sing all night. It went on until late at night. Luo Yan noticed that Aoyi seemed to be gradually fascinated by what he was saying. At the beginning, he stood on all fours and maintained a vigilant posture. Now, he has been lying on the ground, with his tail swaying back and forth. He looks very relaxed. At this time, someone turned on the power of the disguised machine. A row of mobile batteries began to power the machine, and then the machine, that looked like a vacuum cleaner, gradually began to roar. The Black Witch team carefully pointed the suction head in the direction of Aoyi, and the space inside the suction head was illuminated by a hazy blue light. It can be seen that there is a spiral structure inside, and the parts inside are rotating, but no suction is generated. But at this time, not far from the machine, a tuft of long hair on Aoyi's illusory figure floated up. The outline of the end of the hair lost its boundaries, and after a blur, it dispersed into wisps of white smoke like breath. Those breaths floated over, drilled into the suction head, were sent to the inside of the machine, and stored in a special container. The inside of that container was painted with some strange symbols, which were very similar to the Tesu pattern that Luo Yan had seen before. Chapter 494, Exposure. On the stage, a female lead was singing. Since I followed the king, to fight east and west, suffering from wind and frost and hard work, year after year. I hate the ruthless kin that killed all the people, it only caused the people to suffer. Then another person dressed as a martial artist came out from behind the stage. He continued singing. The spear killed several generals in the Han camp. Even if you are brave, how can you guard against the enemy from all sides? Send the order to stop sending troops and return to the camp. Late at night, the forbidden area was filled with gusts of cold wind. On the stage, Farewell My Concubine was being sung. The sound of gongs and drums, and the singing of the actors turned into a sad atmosphere. Wandering in this open space, Ao seemed to be fascinated by the song, his tail swaying, and his two big eyes were closed. He was like a die-hard fan of the drama. He was completely unaware that behind him, his body had already dispersed into wisps of grey and white air. He was sucked into the machine built specifically for him. After a while, the ghosts were sucked out of Aoi's body one by one. Those things were unaware, and had no idea what was happening. Even after being sucked out of Aoi's body, they still looked in the direction of the stage. Their necks made a clicking sound from time to time, and then their heads turned like a clockwork puppet. The ghosts were sucked out of Aoi's body one by one, and they popped out of the giant beast's illusory body one by one with a pop sound. They were sucked into the machine, and none of them could escape. In a blink of an eye, a small part of Aoi's body disappeared behind him. At this time, the Huadan dressed as Yuji on the stage sang, "My king, how will we win today?" The Washan dressed as the overlord of Western Shu had not yet responded when he suddenly heard the white giant bull lying on the ground in front of the stage. I don't know when it had stood up and roared to the sky. It turned out that Aoi finally found something wrong. The giant beast's phantom roared, and a strong wind suddenly blew up in the open space. It was like a storm coming directly, smashing the tables and chairs in front of the stage, and blowing the stage apart. The Huadan and Wu Sheng who were singing the opera screamed, and were blown up by the wind. They flew with the debris, and didn't know how far they were. They fell to the ground. Behind the stage, Luo Yan and others hurriedly ran out of the backstage, trying to escape the storm. But the strong wind chased them from behind, blowing them up to the sky without leaving a single one. Luo Yan was in midair, curled up and hugged his knees, and secretly appeared dragon scales to protect his body. He let his body collide with many debris in the strong wind, but it was not a big deal. Others didn't have his ability, so they were in big trouble. Some were fine, just bumped and bumped. The unlucky ones were directly hit and bleeding. They also knocked themselves unconscious. At this time, if they hit something sharp in the wind, they would be dead. After a gust of wind, the whole stage was turned into fragments on the ground. Luo Yan fell straight and rolled twice, and he was fine. But he didn't get up immediately. First, even if the others didn't faint, they were wailing, and no one got up. If he got up rashly, it would arouse suspicion. Second, he took the opportunity to observe the dominant beast. The shadow white bull seemed to want to escape at this time. The body shook, as if shaking out countless cattle lice, shaking out the ghosts one by one. The body also dissipated by itself, thinking that he was planning to escape from here by breaking up into pieces. Unexpectedly, the Black Witch had been prepared. Suddenly, there was a momentum. A mecha with an extraordinary shape crashed into the open space. This mecha has black armor and red stripes, with gold-eating beasts on its shoulders and a unicorn beast on its chest. Two gilded silk ribbons fluttered behind its shoulders, like an ancient general. Circles of fire patterns quietly emerged in Luo Yan's red eyes, and the scorching eyes started to focus on the inside of the mecha. Landed on a group of human-shaped grey light. Read the information. Lin Yuan Fang, 41 years old, head of the Black Witch Jiuying department. Realm, Great Perfection of Tongzuan. Kung Fu. Head of Jiuying department. Great Perfection of Tongzuan. Luo Yan was shocked by the first two pieces of information, and had ignored the latter ones. Unexpectedly, the Jiuying department came out in full force, even the head. This was the first time Luo Yan ran into the head of the Black Witch division. This Lin Yuanfang's realm is profound, and he has achieved great perfection of Tongzuan. Isn't that the strength of the head of the underground mecha core? Could it be that the mecha is a god general level? At this time, the black mecha driven by Lin Yuanfang was seen, and the two gilded silk ribbons behind him exploded into countless tiny fragments. For a moment, those fragments were like countless golden flames, and under Lin Yuanfang's control, they whistled around the open space. A golden bell was formed, and this bell covered the surroundings, making it difficult for countless ghosts to escape. Suddenly, the ghosts were quickly sucked into the machine. Perhaps Aoyi realized that his plan had failed, so he immediately gathered his minions and transformed himself into a giant bull phantom again. However, this phantom was much smaller than the one lying on the mountain just now, but it still rushed towards the golden bell of flowing fire fiercely. Although it was an illusory body, it still made a clear roar when it hit the wall of the bell. When a sound came, the sound waves rolled across the open space, and many members of the Black Witch covered their ears, and their eardrums were bleeding. Thin threads of blood flowed down from their fingers and ears. Luo Yan was fine, because he was in a high-level realm, and secondly, dragon scales appeared. He didn't bleed from the shock, but the sound of the bell also made him see stars. When he looked again, the golden bell dispersed, and the flowing fire was like fireflies, and it condensed into two ribbons again. But the two ribbons were dancing like dragons entering the sea, constantly slashing at Aoyi's phantom figure. The phantom of the white bull was blurred, and its outline was unclear. The machine at the back kept pumping, cooperating with Lin Yuanfang's interference. But in a moment, Aoyi's phantom was finally sucked into the machine. The Black Witch succeeded. They stole Aoyi's beast soul phantom. Only then did the people on the ground get up. Luo Yan also got up with them. At this time, Zhang Zu came over and shouted, "Pack up your things quickly, we have to withdraw." As soon as the voice fell, a roar that shook the sky came from the depths of the forbidden area, from the direction of the core area. Obviously, the theft of the beast soul has completely angered Aoyi. Although it is not known whether the overlord beast without the beast soul will become weak, no matter how weak it is still the overlord beast. No one dares to take this risk, so withdrawing is the most normal thing to do. Luo Yan plans to take advantage of the chaos to send a message to Jinch City, asking them to intercept the Black Witch's people and take the beast soul they stole. Unexpectedly, he took out his mobile phone from his cloak. Suddenly, his heart trembled, and he felt extremely dangerous. There was no time to think about it. Luo Yan fell to the ground suddenly. At this moment, a golden light whizzed past his head. It turned out to be the head of the Black Witch Jiuying tribe, who controlled the mecha, and projected a golden silk ribbon. The thing swept across Luo Yan like a long knife. Although Luo Yan dodged in time, his cloak was still swept into pieces, and he was blown away by the airflow brought by the silk ribbon, and even the mask on his face fell off, revealing his true appearance. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.